All right, boys, we are here today. We are here to talk about the Spartan North American Championships that is throwing down this weekend. We're going to draft teams as normal, but last week we kind of took a break. We didn't have much to talk about, so we met up and we kind of talked about some of the nuts and bolts of what we got going on here and did a little bit of like house cleaning, if you will. And we just kind of wanted to see what we had. We wanted to kick it around and see where we thought Race Brain was going to go. I feel like we've been putting out some decent episodes, middle to upper level of quality episodes here.
Wow.
And
a ringing endorsement from our own host. Middle to upper.
Middle to upper.
He's humble. Rich is a humble guy. We all know that.
There's room to improve, of course. But
humility is high here.
I'm the most humble, dude. Don't think I'm not. And so when we look at it, we all kind of have jobs to some respect. Not we don't have bosses, but we have jobs. But so this is kind of a hobby right now. And if this maintains as a hobby, it will probably fizzle or we're going to lose direction. We're going to take on another hobby. So we really wanted to kind of see how we can make this a little bit more serious and kind of take it to the next level and just improve the product, just to keep it rolling. So we decided to start a Patreon. So Kirk, what were some of the reasons that when we were talking about that we decided on Patreon?
Because we don't work for free, Rich. Just kidding. We've been working for free for a long time, I feel like. And, I think both of us, I'm speaking for Bracken and myself when I say both of us, we started the Running Public as a passion project because we enjoyed talking about running and we wanted to share that knowledge and those conversations with the people. And we want to keep that pure. We want to keep it what it is. We only want to ask for money from our listeners if they're getting a product from us via our training plan or are hiring our coaching services. And this has been added to our plate as an addition. It's been a really fun project. And in order to keep it going, because I'm working full-time jobs, Bracken's busy. I know you guys are all the same. Jack's got a full-time job. Same with you, Rich. Realize maybe at times we're just a little stretched thin and to keep this thing going, we want to make sure that we gain some momentum. And we're having a lot of fun doing it. We want to be able to continue. But in order to do that, take care of overhead. We got a lot of hosting fees, maintenance stuff, a lot of time put into this. We just need just a little shower of some sort of monetary benefit so we can keep it going. And that's as simple as it is. What do you think, Bracken? Did I sum that up nicely?
Yeah. Give us your silver and your gold, a silver and golden shower of some sort. I think we'll be good. Yeah, I mean, listen, we've talked ad nauseum on our podcast when we get the question, why don't you have a Patreon? And it's because we don't think that there should be a buy-in for information that should be common knowledge. And we don't want to do that. But this is more in the entertainment realm. Do we hope there's an entertainment component to the Running Public? Of course. But we know that we're information first, entertainment second. This is purely entertainment and for the hardcore of the sport that just want more OCR content. And so, yeah, this is your chance to support as you can if that's something you want to do. Plus, it helps us keep the lights on a little bit. We have costs associated with this, and we have big, grand plans, and some of them need to be financed.
That is a big part of it, right? Like we want this to be better, right? Like I said, right now, middle to upper, still good. But I think we can really build this up. I think this can really be something special if we have a little bit of incentive to do so and that we know that it is valuable. And that's the main thing, right? It's like we want to make sure that the offerings that we have are valuable to you guys, the listeners. And the way you can show us is to just give us that support so we can continue to kind of build and grow and do things that you guys like. I mean, I think this avenue is good for the sport, right? That's ultimately like why I wanted to start something like this or talk about this with you guys so often is because I think it helps drive things forward. And if these kind of conversations dwindle down and there's not a lot of conversation going around about the athletes and what's happening, that's not great for the health of things. So I think that just a little bit of that support will definitely help us and can help the long-term health of the sport. Jack, what do you think on the Patreon end?
Yeah, I guess I've been doing all the statistics and stuff for 5-6 years at this point, which is kind of crazy to think about. And a few people have reached out and been like, hey, I'd love to say thanks, but I'm like, I don't know what me individually, like how that would bring value specifically. But I think collectively the group of brains here, we do provide some pretty good content, and it takes a lot, especially if you guys referenced it with having full-time jobs. Like I ask 100+ people if they're showing up for these races. I come up with all these random tidbits that kind of make it sound like more of a professional sport, but it's not like that just takes 10 seconds to come up with all this stuff. You got to go through all like the results and decide what's actually worth talking about. So it's been a lot of work that's not too glorious, but I've kind of done it because our sport's been lacking someone like that. So, you know, just having a little bit of a thanks from the community collectively with you guys giving out training advice and just having these conversations, I think is, it just keeps the motivation going. And honestly, Rich kind of needs a little bit of help with some like mustache cream and stuff. So like any support financially for him right there, that's going to go a long way.
I trimmed the thing down to kind of have it all blended. I cleaned up the sides. My wife didn't even notice.
I prefer the homeless look a little more. If I'm being
I kind of like it better too. I think I'm gonna go back to Dirty Beard.
I want to say, Jack, I thought for a long time that you deserve some sort of backing for the work you do. And you guys don't know this, listeners, but we have a back end, just a Race Brain chat that we have on Instagram, and we're constantly chirping at each other in there. And the amount of work that Jack alone does with reaching out to athletes, and it really is the worst, being that annoying guy in quotes, having to message everybody and all of that. And I know how that feels because I've done that in positions, and Jack does that all week, every week. That alone deserves like $100K a year pay, I think.
If you want to do that, I'm not saying no.
Really, no, it's true. And we all have our podcasts, and we try to, Rich, Bracken, and I, and we monetize in our own way that way. But poor Jack's got nothing over here. He's doing so much work. And I want to say two points to this Patreon thing, because we fought this for a long time on the Running Public, and I know you have too with Reinforced Running, Rich. I don't believe you have a Patreon there. Two things. One, we've been giving you guys like the MVP on Race Brain, like the minimum viable product. And we don't really like to half-ass everything. We like to full-ass things. And if we get some momentum with the Patreon going, we can change the minimum viable product and full-ass things. And then the second thing is, if let's say you're a listener of the Running Public or you're a listener of Reinforced Running, but you don't want to get on our training plan and you don't want to hire us as coaches, well, why don't you come on over and join the Patreon on Race Brain and support us that way? In an indirect way, you're supporting our initial podcasts by joining the Patreon on Race Brain. So if you're not consuming our products on either of our podcasts, this is a good way to do it in the middle ground. If you don't want to join all the way, let's say with the training plan or coaching, I think it's a nice meet in the middle. What do you guys think?
There's certainly value. I'd imagine most people, as they're going through their races, are thinking about the matches that they have and that they have burnt or have not burnt thanks to the Running Public. So I imagine that is valuable to a certain respect. But with the Patreon itself, right? Bracken was very adamant about doing things a little bit different with that in terms of what we were going to offer the Patreon members. And we're going to kind of do it in we have a couple different tiers as you would. And you can find the link down in the show notes, and we'll post it on our Instagram, race.brain. If you're not following, please do. So we wanted to make sure there was actually some value here. And so we're going to do some like monthly giveaways to every Patreon member. And Bracken, tell us a little bit about your idea with this, like why you wanted to kind of steer this in this type of actual value for the Patreon members.
Well, first of all, anytime you get a sponsor, it has the ability to compromise the message. That's why we never did on Running Public, because we recommend a lot on there and we give a lot of advice, and people need to know that it comes from a place of no bias. Or at least if it's bias, it's our own personal bias. It's not our pockets talking. And so when we speak, as we are now actively going to start doing, speaking on behalf of sponsors, it's tricky if it's just about lining our pockets. And in the space that we occupy, the like quit your day job sponsorship is few and far between. And so it's a lot of piecemealing things together. And you could get too caught up in trying to just go all in on that. And we'd rather just make it something that provides value. So the idea was that if companies are not able to like truly financially support us, they support through what their company naturally does. Let's just say VJ Shoes, for example. Instead of giving us 500 or 1,000 a month, which once you divide it at all, 4 or 5 ways, it's not game changing money. Why don't we just take product from you, put it into the Patreon community? If you can donate a pair of shoes or 2 a month, we then raffle that off. Not raffle, we just lotto draw it off, and one of the supporters gets something. So it kind of continues our mission of giving back. Like if you're going to give us something, we'd like to continue to even give more in return. So some sort of gear or anything that's community beneficial each month back, rather than just trying to like nickel and dime sponsors.
And Bracken, with that giveaway, we're going to incorporate the probably the best part of these draft episodes, the wheel of names. So if you want your name on the wheel of names during these contests, we're gonna put everybody who's on the Patreon based on your tier level. You're gonna get a certain number of votes, and then that'll determine the odds of you getting your prizes.
Yeah. So each month someone takes home something.
Yep.
Yeah, and this could be an array depending on your tier. It could be a coaching consult with one of us, or Jack can consult them on whatever he feels like that day.
If you just want a phone call, go for it.
Canoeing, hot springs.
He's your guy. But things like that, maybe even a free month of coaching with one of us every quarter, or the gear that we support. We're going to ask those companies to maybe support us by supporting you and giving product away, like Bracken mentioned. And then we're going to come up with a list of things that will be of benefit for each tier. But basically, your chance at getting your money back in some way is decently high based on your tier through either product or our time. So you're not really giving us your money. We're just trading things around a little bit.
And exceptional content. Unbelievable
Exactly.
content is what they're getting in return.
Exactly.
All right. So just to kind of talk about the different tiers, like I said, you can take a look. So what you would get in that are different entries, different amount of entries to the monthly giveaways, depending on your tier level. And then there'll be also some Patreon only swag, some different levels. There's going to be some sort of AMAs for the Patreon members, and select episodes that will be live streamed that you'll get early access to when we feel that is right. So take a look at that down below. If you do, we would really love the support. Just take a look, see what you think, toss us some love. What do you think, boys? Did we do it?
How do people find it?
The link in the show notes, and we'll have it on our Instagram.
All right. Just making sure people know that.
Whew, 10 minutes of self-advertisement is tough on the old gut here, Kirk.
The Band-Aid's been ripped off. Now we can move on.
Oh, got that done with.
Now we'll just ask every single week for the rest of the time that Race Brain exists.
We should do a call-a-thon. I'll talk 24 hours straight for a call-a-thon.
You could do it. You could definitely do it. All right. So let's talk about some Spartan racing. We have the North American Championships this weekend, and it's the first time that this race has been held outside of the United States, correct? So we're in Kelowna, which is in eastern British Columbia in Canada. Is the map out? I haven't seen it. I think the map is out. Is it not accurate? The map? It's an inaccurate map.
According to so just some posts that I've seen, they've changed the direction of the middle part of the course. It's still going to be the same, like 4,200 feet of change, half marathon, but they're changing the direction of a couple of the trails.
So when I was looking at the starting list for the second year in a row, it looks a bit lighter, at least on the female side. It seems to be a little bit less deep than it has been. And last year, there was a conflict between OCR World Championships, which made the field particularly thin on both the men and the women's side. But this year, again, there's a little bit less in attendance there. Like, Kirk, what do you think? What do you chalk that up to in terms of the participation here?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of travel this year, and people had to pick and choose where they were going to go if they weren't all in on the series. I think that's part of it. I don't know the current status, but I think getting into Canada for some is proving to be difficult depending on your vaccination status. Mm-hmm. So there's some barriers to entry there where there were not for Mexico. I don't know. And maybe it's starting to get to that point in the season where people are picking and choosing. I know some great athletes who are going to West Virginia because they love that course. For example, same day, same weekend. Why not stay domestic, spend less money, still potentially get a payout? I kind of get it. So I think there's a few factors going on there. That's what I think.
Yeah,
West Virginia is the best. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I know that some people have actually had passport problems. Like Rose, she wanted to go to it, but hers, she submitted it 3-4 months ago after it expired after Mexico, and she just hasn't got it back. So that's just out of her control. She did the work to try to get it done, just isn't there. Rhea, who obviously does well and got third in Utah, she's just in Europe. She's been traveling all over the world. She was already over there. She's like, I'm just going to visit my family for a month. I'm going to stay here. It's a little easier on my travel schedule. So you've got stuff like that. You have a few injuries. Kirk, you alluded to it just being hard to get into Canada for certain people. So it's kind of a, just a perfect storm of reasons why the attendance is a little bit lower.
So Bracken, when I look at this race in particular, the payout's amazing. This is like the best payout probably outside of the Spartan World Championships. It's probably the best payout. High Rocks World Championships was up there, probably a little bit more than this one. But does money not move the needle for some of these athletes these days?
Well, I think we are starting to see the negative effect of 2 decisions Spartan made. And this isn't one of these rants towards Spartan. It's just a black and white issue here. The first is that they did cut funding to athletes this year. And this is where you start to see it on the races that are more difficult to get to. In the past, it was known, even if the payout wasn't great, our travel's at least free. Even if we have to share a rental car or Airbnb with someone, if I can snag $500 for 12th place, I cover my costs. Now it's like the payouts are great, but I've got to gamble my own money to get that payout. And people need to take time off jobs and international travel. And it is decently far away. It just impacts the everyman semi-pro athlete now that some funding has been cut. And the second is that, and a decision I agree with, to try to expand this into other nations where it's a very US centric sport. And we want to get away from that. But when you make it a championship and you don't provide as much incentive to get there, you run the risk of you get a lot of local talent and you then remove the biggest player, which is the US, from the North American scene. So those two kind of came together in a perfect storm, combined with travel's outrageous this year. And you're seeing the fruit of that labor. But don't get me wrong, the prize money is great. If you think you're good at altitude, you should be at this race.
I don't think there's a race. If you're even like a second tier, one of the elite athlete, like I don't think you have better odds of making better money at any race throughout the year than this one.
Yeah. I think at altitude asterisks. I think the East Coasters are getting sick of going west too. That's a big travel ask, and Spartan has really not thrown any bones to the central or eastern side of the U.S. or I guess North America until Blue Mountain comes up at the end of the year. And I think a lot of Easterners are like, you know what? If I'm going to choose which Canadian race I'm going to finagle, I am going to choose the East Coast race. We have a lot of East Coast racers that just making long flights, long travel, lots of money to do that traveling. And I think we see like a bit of our East Coast contingency just staying home.
Well, Kirk, just think in one year you had Jacksonville, Alabama, Asheville, West Virginia, like it was all East Coast. And then I think Big Bear was the other one. So it's kind of been like this on the opposite end of the
Seattle wasn't.
before.
Yeah, no.
The last 2 years though have not. And
it was usually 2 to 3 on each coast.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's not. And that's tough.
Not a lot of balance there with distribution, I don't think.
Yeah.
And people hear Canada and they assume one section of Canada. This is thousands of miles from where we've seen Canadian races in the past. It's not as simple as, just kind of like flit on over there. Even for the Canadian racers, this is like traveling New York to North Dakota. It's not even the same country for all intents and purposes.
Kirk, did you look at flights to this area? Like, would you have to fly to Vancouver? How do you get here? And it's like a drive from Vancouver. Look,
it's like 4 hours from Vancouver. That's what it's
is that the route? Jack, are you going to be on site?
I'm going to be on site.
Ooh,
Jack on site.
Jack on site, baby. And there seems to be a good 3-man squad.
How you feeling about that, Rich?
For coverage. Yeah, I think you guys are going to do great.
I'll the free time
to word again
Saturday morning.
I just imagine the production meetings like, all right, we've got Jack, got Gary B. Like, can we find anyone else? And Jack's like, no, man, I think this is it. Like, if we had someone, we'd get them, but I just don't know if there's anyone we could trust that knows how to run downhill.
Jack, who's rabbiting with you this race?
Oh, I've got a tall task. It's going to be me, Gary B, who you just mentioned, Bracken, and then 2 ambassadors from Spartan Canada.
Do we know their running credentials?
I don't, which is making me nervous, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get stuck with the Emma versus Lindsay battle, or they'll be like, "Well, you're the fastest one here. Go keep up with the top guys," which I'm going to be like, "Get me a cart."
Who's Gary B?
Belander. He's you've probably seen him. He's bald. He was on Spartan Games a little bit.
I like him already.
Coverage. Yeah, he's been there for like a decade.
Okay.
You guys are going to do great. I'm sure the coverage is going to be
He was the co-camera person with Steve down in Mexico when they came up with some of their stuff.
So I pulled up the prize money. Yeah, it's 12,000 to win. It's 4 digits up until 6th place, and it's 900, 800, 600, 400, and 300 for 10th. So this is like pretty good. Like getting 400.
USD or Canada?
Good question. I'm sure it's Canada, just so they can.
You'd really prefer to get that USD, but it might be Canadian.
Yeah.
I know what you're doing there, Bracken.
I hear it.
Yeah,
too.
conversion rates.
Conversion rates for sure.
Now that's interesting because it is very top heavy and it goes till 6 strong. But then back in the day, I thought we blew up in West Virginia one year and got like $400 for 15th or 12th or something like that. Like it used to go a little.
Top 20 was World Championships. I don't remember top 20.
They've only done top 10 to my knowledge for North American champs.
Yeah, I believe that's,
that's
right.
I think the players who legitimately believe they have a shot at top 3 to 5 are still choosing to go. I think you're losing, at least if you're like me and others, we're losing that, like Jack mentioned, like that second tier who's like all that travel and maybe best case scenario come out like $400. I know it's like, woe is me. Like I'm not making money to go race when droves of people go pay to do this and don't expect any money to be made. But I think it's like that, like people like me were like, God, best case scenario, what am I going to make? I'm just going to lose 50% on the trip at best. I think that's happening a lot.
And a lack of clarity on the course really impacts the people who show up to do well. Like let's say, for example, Kirk, you and I, Rich, Jack, we're all super fit. We're thinking this is a year I'm going to go after something. I'm really fit. I've timed my training cycles well. And they tell you a course and the terrain is TBD. There's no real information on it. You're not going to, if your travel's not comped, you probably aren't going to risk going there when the rumors are mountainous or altitude and flat or sea level and flat. And then you do some digging, you realize, well, it's not at sea level. There is some altitude, but there's varying descriptions of how hilly it was going to be, runnable, but hilly. And then it was going to be flat, but with a few steep sections. Now we're hearing 45-ish, 100 feet of vert. The varying accounts means that people are having a hard time determining, is this a good course where I actually do a good course for me? Do I have a chance to do well here? You know, depending on what the course is, really does play into an athlete's decision on whether they want to go pay $1,000 to $1,500 for travel for the chance to maybe win it back.
Yeah, we are talking about the elite side, obviously, but I do think a lot of us have seen just pictures of British Columbia and just that travel adventure side of it. That's what most of the people are going to the race for, because they know they're not going to walk home with some pay. And personally, I'm really excited just to check out British Columbia, and I think that that's going to be the case for a good amount of people who are going there, though, regardless of whether or not that expectation on what the course layout was there.
And I'm speaking to our draft today.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Like I personally wouldn't go, and because that's going to be over $1,000 in travel to this. I would not go to one of those events without knowing specifics of the course and how that meshes with my skill set. I just wouldn't.
I was thinking this was going to be sea level. I was like, this sounds great. Sounds like, I thought it was gonna be like West Virginia West, like sea level, mountainous, dry. And it doesn't seem, it's such a bummer that it's another altitude race starting at 5,000 feet.
We beat that conversation to death, but I still think it's worth talking about. So they basically this season, 4 of the 5 races so far will be at altitude, correct? The only one not being would have been San Luis Obispo. We'll have Blue Mountain later this year, which will be a nice bone to throw to the sea level folks. But I think I don't know if we just made this up, guys, or if we got bad info or we're just wishfully thinking, but we were all believing this was like maybe at most like a 3,000 feet above sea level type race. It's not going to be it's going to be a mountain race, but nothing like, you know, elevation profile doesn't look that different potentially than like a Utah, right? Or like a Big Bear. It like looks similar to those. It's just what terrain are we going to get now, which is a little disappointing, especially as it was a race that initially excited me when I saw it come out early in the year, thinking, oh, it might be exactly West Coast, West Virginia. Not the case.
Yeah, if you type in Kelowna elevation, it's like under 2,000 feet. But if
that was the misleading piece. Yeah.
If you type in Big White Mountain, the summit's at 7,600 feet. So village area is closer to 5,000. So it's not crazy. It's not like it's a Breckenridge or something like that, but that's still not for everybody.
When you get above 5,000, you're compromising what you can do. First time I was in Denver, I tried doing a 10% incline workout with burpees in between and just about lost my life. Like it does matter. And altitude's such a cop out until you race at it and then you feel it. Like there are always people like Atkins or Emma who are going to go clean house there and be like, listen, just prepare. It's like, yeah, that's great. And you're a monster. And the rest of us sit here and just like, it doesn't work for us.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm expecting in terms of race results. Probably something pretty similar to what we had in Utah. Some different names out here for sure. But I would expect the people who do well in Utah will probably do well in Kelowna. The terrain, I think, is a little nastier. From the intel I have on the course is that there's going to be some like really nasty, bushwhacky, tough footing areas throughout the course. But I don't know how much that'll actually come into play at altitude with that much gain for Bert.
Jack, what's the I know I'm getting ahead of us, but it's my biggest curiosity with all your reaching out to people is, have we seen a big bump in the Canadian contingency for this race compared to the other US races? Everybody's going to be there. Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
And they're going to all be at Blue Mountain. Like, I think this is going to, they're just pumped, kind of like Bracken mentioned. It's on their home soil, first time it's ever happened, and it's easy travel for them. So you're going to see, and
they deserve it. They've had it coming for years.
Mm-hmm.
Toss them a friggin' bone here.
Yeah.
Think what happened with the Mexican contingency in Mexico. Are we going to see some Canadian royalty pop up here that we haven't really seen up front before? What do you fellas think?
We'll see on draft day.
This is draft day.
Okay.
We'll see on today.
No, I meant when we make our picks. Yeah.
We understoed.
Yeah.
He's not showing his hand.
I honestly don't think it's going to be as drastic as Mexico, because just the style of life is going to be more closely resembled to what people in the US are expecting.
I think the women Canadian athletes, the females, are going to do very well.
Wow, going out on a limb. Yeah.
I think we'll see the Canadian royalty represent very well on the female side.
Jack's sitting over there with this smug look on his face with all his little stats he's going to dive into and just pick us apart one draft choice by one. I can see it all over your face, Jack.
I don't have time to look at the picks. I'm just asking people who's showing up. I don't have time for the analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't read up on any shoe reviews this week.
All right, so let's talk about some draft. Jack, do you have the big board up? And I actually thought I was looking at the results from our draft last time, but I don't think I was looking at the right stuff. So do you have that information available as well?
That's your job with the points.
That is my job. I know.
That's all on you.
Yeah. So I may have screwed that up, but I don't know. Do we remember what happened? I think I won. I think that I won.
No, I went.
And I think.
Wait,
did you?
I thought I went 2-0 and made a comeback.
You did, and I was.
I guess
1-1.
You were right. This is moderately good content.
Like I said, the minimal viable product, folks.
That's what we got. Take a look at our Patreon in the show notes.
Help us out.
Okay. Yes, I believe you're right, Jack. You're still in last, but not by as much.
And I believe the strategy of picking all dudes did not pan out for Bracken and myself. Once again, that strategy has proven to be a fail.
Like, you can draft all dudes, you can draft people who aren't going to go to the race. Both those things, we can cross them off. You guys are like scientists. You guys are trying to make sure that you know what's right and what's wrong. So you're trying every specific
deductive reasoning.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it. And I
If
also
I had an
appreciate
office
it.
door, the byline would say, "I'm like a scientist."
Just get rid of the word like.
I
Yeah.
also can't lie.
All right. So for drafting, we draft snake style, 5 men, 5 women, 1 wild card. We are allowed 1 keeper outside of our top 2 picks. Keepers cannot be wild card or do we decide we can't keep the people off of waivers?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Bummer. We're doing XC scoring, cross country scoring. So it's some of your top 7 finishers, not 5, whatever. Men's and women are combined. Lowest score wins. It's dual meet style. So we go head to head scoring. Each week we have 2 outcomes. Current standings. I'm in first at 5-3. KB Corral is 4-4, and Jack is 3-5. That was a big move Jack made.
I'm trying to make it 5-5 for everybody after this week. That would be some drama. That'll be some reason to stick around on the Patreon, right?
Because then we have we're going to draft OCR World Championships.
Does that count towards this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Just asking.
Any draft counts, right?
Any draft counts. The venue draft. Then we're going to do
Well, I won that one.
Yeah, Jack cleaned up the venue
My first
draft.
pick.
I'm proceeding under protest.
Yeah.
Which part?
All of it.
All of it.
Noted.
West Virginia being a mountain course.
Best mountain
Jack
course.
picking a race that went under 5 years ago.
I got 2 messages saying they agreed with me that Hawaii was the best international race.
course.
So,
Which,
listen up.
if they don't live in the United States, is a factual statement.
True.
Yeah, we did a great job. We kept it very America for that episode there. So, Jack, on the men's side, who's not showing up?
Who is not going to be there? All right. I'll have to filter this out because
I'll get started for you.
Yeah.
Rich, Kirk, myself.
Jack will be on.
There we go. Got all
One
the
of those
picks.
3 could be a player there.
Wild card.
Wild cards. Okay. We do not have Angel Quintero, Aaron Newell. For the big names, no one from Mexico is going. So Eugenio, Ciro, the athletes who were on the podium in Mexico, they will not be here. Ian Hosick, I would have thought he'd make the trip. Johnny Luna Lima, Josh Riedinger, Chris Brown, Lars Arneson would have done well here. Logan, he's doing Boomerang World Championships over in France, from what I heard. Mark Gaudet, Matt Rock, Nick Mask was gonna go, but he got really sick this past weekend, so he can't go. Nick Riker posted that he was planning on going, but he's going all in on DECA. Killian won't be there. Ryan Kempson, Tyler Veerman, and VJ. So a lot of big names who will not be there.
Is it, not to interrupt, but is Woodsy not on the table anymore? Or is he on the yes column? Or are we forgetting about? He is. Okay.
I have some thoughts on that list. First of all, this seems like a VJ course. This isn't your power hike for 30 minutes and then fire road descent type of course. This seems a little bit more Mexico than Big Bear to me. This also seems like a time to redeem yourself based off of your Utah performance. So I'm actually surprised I'm not surprised he's not going, but at some level, I'm a little surprised he's not taking that chance. I wanted to see Nick Mask and Hawk Call have their wrestler test, which to me is nasty terrain and mountains. They've done the mountains. I want to see nasty terrain now. I want to see how Nick does technical. I want to see how Hawk does bushwacky. So I'm excited to see Hawk there. I'm a little disappointed Nick can't be there, both for him because I think we all think he was loading up for something big, but I wanted to find out a little bit more about him. And I think that you could, just like last time, have an entire podium not there.
It's a testament to the strength and the depth on the men's side. Like that list of athletes that Jack just read off would be an amazing race by itself. And this is still a pretty stacked race. Like I think that there is a lot of men on this side. It's going to be hard to figure out who's going to be where. So it's just a testament. And a lot of the Canadian athletes, we're seeing most of the top Canadian athletes, maybe with the exception of like 1 or 2 of names that I didn't see on there.
Samuel Hebert is probably the biggest name.
That's who I was
saying. Is Jesse Bruce there?
Jesse Bruce
Jesse's
is there.
there.
Good. He and Mick should do well.
Yeah, for sure.
Mick just went 171 in his 15:15 test last week. That's a big score. It's my question about this. So VJ, I mean, when we had interviewed with him, Bracken, on the Running Public, he had mentioned like, "Hey, I'm in on the series this year," but leaving Utah on his resume now, even if he does Blue Mountain, almost makes me wonder if he's putting his hands in the air or if he's still going to attempt Blue Mountain later this year. Just makes me curious. And obviously he's just saving himself for OCRWC, and then maybe Blue Mountain will be icing on the cake. Have you guys discussed this decision with him at depth, Jack? Have you?
He definitely wants that OCR world title. And beating yourself up on a mountain course like this when it's not part of the series, like if this was event 5 of the series, he might be here, but OCR Worlds, that is his main goal. And we'll see about Blue Mountain when the time comes. But I know all his chips are in on OCR Worlds, just like Ryan Kempson. He was going to show up, but then something happened with his flight when they rebooked him there, and it was going to be like 17 hours of travel. He's like, I'm just not doing that anymore. I'm going to defend my title. Especially now that more people are going to be showing. He wants to be fresh and healthy for it instead of having an interrupted race where you're pretty sore for a week after.
That makes sense. I like to try to play the put myself in VJ shoes game. We talked with him after.
Well, you do because you wear VJ shoes. So.
Oh, Jack.
That was good.
We talked to him after Mexico, and he said he was surprised he did well because he was so disjointed in training. He'd been missing pieces to his training, but he started putting them back in, and he won Mexico. But I would assume that Utah then was that eye opener. Like, I started putting them back in, but they're not all there, and I've got work to do. And what if I don't get it done in time for OCR Worlds and Kelowna? The style of work for that just might interrupt this a little bit. So that would be my assumption is, listen, I'm going, screw everything I've said. I must defend my world title. And Kempson, like you said, he got his first world title and he wants to defend it. So that path makes sense logically now, despite what both of them may have said earlier in the year. I agree with why they're doing it.
Yeah, money's hard to turn down, but I think the prestige, especially you get 2 world titles, now you're an elusive company right there. And I think that's going to matter more.
Yeah, VJ's had a tough run. He lost his motivation. His mojo eluded him. He got some of it back. He raced respectable in Big Bear based on running twice a week, based on what he told us. And then he pulls it together, has a great Mexico race, but then the guy's been sick and feeling, I mean, he was sick for he picked up a bug, and it was like a month where I think he was ready to train again, and he couldn't. And so I don't think this has gone ideally, and you're right, for him and in the training sense. I think he had to just make that decision like Bracken was alluding to. Well, now I got to make a business decision. That business decision is to focus on what's more important. My assumption is if he hadn't gotten sick and training had been pure, I think he would be there this weekend.
Yeah, we had several runs where it was like, hey, like 7 minutes in, I know I'm right down the street from my house, but I got to find a porta potty. So he had very broken training, even when he wanted to, just like you were mentioning there. But he's back, he's dialed in. I think he knows what he's doing for OCR Worlds.
He's gonna throw his hat in the DECA arena. Get his DECA mark. It's gonna be good. So we'll see him there. So we'll see. That might be like a 3K tune-up. And it's not all about money, right? But we've talked about money a lot in this episode. OCR World Championships is what, 5K payout?
8,000.
8 for both, for 3K and 15K. Okay, nice.
The other curiosity I had, and I don't know if any of you fellas have talked to him, but and Ian Hosick, maybe you'll have to reach out to me, but he's been kind of a ghost on social media. Where he's been more active in the past. He hasn't alluded towards his plans of racing. I thought this series, more than any other series, would have, I mean, Ian was 4th in the world or 5th in the world a few years back. This series would have served Ian Hosick the best out of any series to date, and we haven't seen him. So I was curious what he's got going on. Anybody know in that regard?
No, I would have thought the same. He's also a really good late season peaker. In general, and this is right around that time when I would have thought the fitness was coming together, but maybe he's just dealing with something that he's not mentioning.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about keepers. Oh wait, no, women. On the women's side, Jack, who's not coming?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, probably the big 3 names. You've got Rose, Rhea, and Alex Walker, all of whom won't be there. That's definitely going to shake things up because they're pretty much locks for the top 5 whenever they show up, or top 6 at worst. Other big names who will not be here: Ariel Fitzgerald. She's dealing with a wrist injury. I would have loved seeing her in Canadian soil. Ashley Heller decided not to. Callie Schweikart is running the Ultra Beast because she's doing 24-hour World Championships. So she'll be on site. I think she would have done well here based on her Ultra in Utah, but she decided to go for the Ultra Beast. None of the Mexican athletes, just like on the men's side, will be there. So I think there were 3 or 4 in the top 10 when everyone headed down there. So that's kind of some depth that's lacking. Faye Stenning, I would have thought. She's from Alberta originally, Calgary. That's only a few hours away, and she's been to Kelowna. I don't know if her heart's in racing at the moment, but that would have been really fun to see. Jessica Lemon, she had roughly a 10th place finish at Tahoe one time. Nicole's still hurt, obviously. And Sarah Kais, I would have liked seeing her as well. So
all right,
pretty big group of names who aren't there.
We still have a couple at the top, and Annie, like we'll say it up the front, is a maybe.
Yeah.
Where just been dealing with a couple of different things. So she's going to be there, and it's going to be a matter of like if she races or not. It's going to be like,
she's been a maybe all year, hasn't she? Mostly.
Yeah. It's that same thing. It's like we talked about before. It's an injury that's like some days is okay, other days isn't great. So it's like one of those things where it's just kind of like constantly not great. So it's hard to really shut it down or to push forward. So it's just kind of like in limbo right there, which is not a great place to be.
Has her training been able to go on per usual? Like, is her fitness there as we knew Annie from last year? It's just these things pop up and it just holds her back in the moment, or what's the situation?
Yeah, she can hold on to fitness pretty well with cross training and things like that. And she's super strong. Her elbow is better. She's rock climbing again, so she's gonna be really good with obstacles. She's planning on doing OCR World Championships, which I think will be really fun to see how she does in that, because I think she is probably top 2 or 3 in terms of obstacle proficiency and like how she'll be able to navigate an East Coast course like that. But so her fitness is like okay. It's just a matter of how much running she could actually do on technical terrain, because it's like an ankle issue right now, which hurts on the trails. So it would be probably, I would expect it to be like 88% if I had to put a percent on it.
88.
How's that? 88.
It's a good percent.
Take that into your drafting considerations.
Did
Jack,
she
do you
move
have
to Colorado?
She's over. Okay. She's not too far from like Golden.
Gotcha.
So she's been at altitude too, which she wasn't before. So I think when she gets healthy and ready to rock, she's going to be like pretty scary.
Cool.
Rich, what do you got going over on there in that apartment?
Can you hear that?
Oh yeah, I can hear that. Sounds like somebody's
woodpeckers.
Nailing the wall.
I don't know. It's the neighbor. It's not in here. It's the problem with being in an apartment complex. I don't know what's going on. So it sounds like some kind of maintenance.
What was it? An average okay podcast or something again coming through?
We're at least in the top half.
Top
50%. If you
get to the Patreon, I can get a soundproof podcast room, and we won't have to deal with this anymore.
Got the church bells going because it's noon over here.
True. Can't hear it. All right, Jack, could you pull up the rosters from last time so we can talk about some keepers?
Yeah. Utah was the last race. Okay. Share screen. And you're going to get the wheel of names going?
You better believe it. The thing is ready.
Absolutely.
We do keepers first. Did you share? There it is.
Yep.
Wait. Let's pop it on up.
Okay. So we'll do Rich, you just want to do yours first since I'll isolate it that way. You cannot pick Emma. Rose won't be there. But anyone after that. And I think that the rule is if you pick a keeper again, you end up having to make that your first overall pick.
Right. And I did have Sean Stevens Whale. I think I picked him up as a wild card, I think, which would have been a great keeper, but against the rules.
Yeah.
Stragowski made your decision difficult again.
I mean,
went out and took 7th place at Leadville this past weekend.
It's crazy. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about Chris, but I mean, I kept her last time, so she'd have to be my first or second, or my first pick. which I probably could get her there anyway. Give me Beatrice.
Beatrice in 5. Okay.
Mhm.
Kirk and Bracken. Rich, your 5th place or 5th round for Beatrice. Just mark that down because I can't type it yet.
What's the highest round we can pick for a keeper?
I highlighted them.
Okay. None of them are going to be there.
Josiah will be there.
Josiah
Natalie
will
will
be
be there. Jamie, and that's it.
Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it, Bracken?
No one or Josiah. Everyone else, I think we can get where we got him.
I think Josiah's. I mean, he's a safe bet, man.
I think that in a race where the known commodities are a bit limited, you take what you can control.
So we take him, we keep him, right?
Right. Rich is doing his little. He's working his little pirate stash all around there, but I'm going to ignore his facial expressions. Josiah in round 4, I think has value.
Keep him.
He's not getting
All
worse
right.
than 5th. Like,
All right.
all right.
What was that look all about, Rich?
I like that Jamie Bruce in the 10th. It's too late. Can't go back.
Locked it in. All right. Me. Oh boy. Let's go. I think I've got. So it's between Casey in 5, Ashley O'Hara round 7, and Elizabeth Murray in round 10.
I'm just going to go ahead and say Veerman's my disappointment of the year. Not for anything he's done.
In the
Not
Oprahs?
for anything he's done performance-wise, but because we haven't been able to watch him on a litany of courses that he would have been a monster on.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I'm disappointed I don't get to see more Veerman in my life.
You're so impressive in Utah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Casey in round 5.
All right. Let's pull up the wheel of names.
We'll get
Boy.
the wheel of names. I'm gonna stop sharing, and then we can have the wheel of names go up. Why won't this let me
Wheel of names is
stop?
coming up.
There it is.
All right, here we go. Are we on? You see it?
Spinning black. There we go.
Spinning black. There it is. All right, so Jack, you have 3 entries. Corral, you got 2. And I got 1 because I'm in first place. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't wait to see
Feeling
how
good
rigged it
about
is.
this today, Kirk.
Me too.
Feeling good.
About the wheel or about our overall?
The slow interwebs right now. Not really sure what's going on.
Hey!
Oh,
All right. What pick do you guys want?
Oh, well, is there a sure thing in this field?
There is.
There is.
Is there?
Kirk, you
Is
want the
there?
honors?
Is there a sure
Kirk, you
thing in
screw
this
this
field?
up.
Well, no, there's not now that Lindsay's back.
Right.
You know, I don't think you can go wrong with Emma or Lindsay.
Correct.
It was Emma. Suddenly she just became like the queen of OCR in the last few weeks. And then Lindsay's out there winning sky races. The only noticeable weakness against Emma from Lindsay would have been running, and Lindsay's crushing runs. If this is bushwacky, if this is technical, can you vote against the true queen of OCR? So maybe we have a tougher task than we thought.
I think we do. I'm okay going first or pushing it off.
All right.
I
Those
do.
are
You
your-
have more,
those are your
you're right.
options.
You have more. You have more tenure here, Bracken. So I'll support you. Whatever you want to do.
This doesn't sound good, guys. You guys are
yeah.
really not on the
Sounds
same
like we have a
page.
split coming up.
You're not on any page.
Let's take first.
All right.
All right. First overall.
First. If I don't get this pick. Okay, I feel real
Keep
good.
spinning.
Good. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go second because I want whoever you don't pick.
All right. I will go third.
Okay.
All right.
My screen again.
Are we ready
To
for
rumble.
the 2022 Spartan North American Championship draft?
Yep.
We're on the clock.
The first pick.
This is the one we could get divorced over, to be honest. Right here.
So I have a leaning, but this is one of those where if we went second, I'd be almost relieved to take whoever we didn't get.
Yep.
So my leaning is Lindsay, because how do you not pick her? But I'm equally okay. So do you have a leaning, Kirk?
Do we know morning conditions in Kelowna or in that region? Is it going to be guaranteed dry? Is it going to be? Do we understand what happens there this time of year in the mornings? That is my major concern. If we have dewy obstacles, if there is some precipitation, I'm going Lindsay 10 out of 10 times. If it's a dry course, I think I pick Emma right now. Her running, even with Lindsay doing as well as she has in these races, Lindsay cannot keep up with Emma. She cannot. I'm convinced of that.
So they're calling for rain on Saturday. I don't know if that's morning. It's not as dry as you would think. Right now, I think it is. Yeah, it's 11 a.m. there, and it's 62% humidity, which isn't nothing. So it might be wet in the mornings there, and it's relatively warm. But they're calling for rain on Saturday. I would imagine that's afternoon showers, but I don't know.
Should we just take Hawk and avoid
Just take
this
Hawk
entirely?
No.
All right. So here's my thoughts. I believe that Emma may be more talented. I believe she may have the better skill set for running right now. I also believe she needs more variables to go right than Lindsay does.
I agree.
Like if it rains, it's Lindsay's.
If we have a lot of bushwhacky,
it could be Lindsay.
Lindsay.
If the descents are more technical, it's Lindsay. Every variable that gets added in, it's Lindsay. And at the end of the day, if we pick Lindsay and she loses, it's like, you know what? Good on you, Emma. You finally did it. If we pick Emma and Lindsay wins, it's like, you're an idiot, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel compelled to take Lindsay. She's the greatest of all time. If we say she's the greatest of all time and we don't pick her, we're fools.
Lindsay Webster, folks.
Good pick. That was definitely the hardest Lindsay first overall pick that we've ever had in the entirety of the draft episodes.
Does Emma live in British Columbia or Alberta?
I think she's Alberta.
Okay. But she's got a short travel schedule. It's close for her comparatively.
Yeah.
I said that with confidence, but I guess now I'm starting to second guess. I thought when we talked with her, she was Alberta.
I think she's the Calgary area, isn't she?
And that'd be Alberta.
I thought so.
Yeah.
But I don't know either.
Yep.
All right, let's start the board.
I was hoping to get third, and then I realized once you guys made it clear you were going one of the two women, I knew I wasn't going to get the other one if I went third. So you put me in my unideal spot for this, but I've got to go Emma at this point.
Yes, you do.
So
I can't see any way that they don't get 1-2. So we're going to minimize our points that way at least. So
now, Rich, you get to go all guys. You can go top 1 and 2 guy picks, and you can just kick it off. Go on a guy run.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jack would prefer to have a 2 to start. He could have had a 1, but he wants a 2.
I could easily have a 1.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Emma's had multiple coming out parties, but this might be her coronation. Or it could be just Lindsay keeps the crown for eternity.
Or Chris will win. She'll just do something stupid like she does.
She's loose. She's warmed up.
Yeah. She's actually running
stiff
there.
as a board right now. That's one of the two.
Oof. Well, definitely taking Atkins. So Atkins.
He's already out there, you know.
Is he out there? That's good.
Yeah.
He's been doing some biking, some cycling.
Lots of it.
I don't know.
He just did Leadville 100 bike race.
Travel. But he does that basically every day, that type of workout. So
I'm saying he's been cycling. He's been at altitude, working hard, cycling.
Yeah. It's going to play well for him.
He seems to race well off cycling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he sure does. So I like him here. you think after Utah where, Hawk kind of took it to everybody that, he might have some momentum, but just in a different country. I don't see Atkins losing this race. The odds would have to be pretty tremendous in the field's favor for me not to take Atkins here. But now I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do here.
You could corral the podium on the men's side, or you could miss out on a top 5 potential woman. Like may not be another one when they come back to you.
The KB corral? Give me Chris Rogloski.
Reach.
Have we? Well, that's what we've said every time.
She just ran 100-miler. Kirk, tell us how you don't think she's going to do well this time.
No, I've already put my tail between my legs. I formally apologized to Chris about telling her she can't do it again because she's done it again. How many times? How many 100-milers has she run and then raced a Spartan race afterwards? Like 2,
Seemingly
3?
all of them.
Second in Mexico. Yeah.
And she hasn't been outside the top 3 or 4. Like, oh my gosh.
She just has a unique tapering process. She blows out the system, really embraces her recovery, and then smashes some sort of race the day before.
We're going to have to get her on and see what she does between time. I'd be very curious to dissect those 6 days between races.
I'm guessing she climbs 14ers.
Probably.
The much how the Norwegians have really kind of changed the way that people are thinking about training. I think Chris is on to something. Very, again, like a scientist, just very dialed in.
She's like a scientist,
just like a scientist there.
Imagine going into like a mountain Spartan beast and being like, well, it can't even be close to as bad as what I went through last weekend. Like that's a powerful tool to have in your belt, isn't it?
Sure is.
And that's just been,
yeah. If I can suffer for a day straight, I can suffer for 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah. No matter how tired she is. And then she's been at altitude. I mean, that race is, how much time are you spending above like 10,000 feet in Leadville? Is it like most of the race? Is it all?
You don't go below like 96 or something.
Yeah. Is that right? And then the terrain, like that is helpful for her, I think, just because she can navigate that. She moves really well. She might not have like the highest end foot speed of some of these runners, but I think just like the nastiness of the course and being at altitude, it's just like whatever. She's just tougher than everybody else, so she's gonna do well.
I'm done doubting her. She's gonna get third again.
I've been done.
Yeah.
Jack, you're up.
Well, you threw me a bone. Hot call. I think he's gonna win it.
You think he's going to win it?
Yeah. I texted him like, "Hey, what are you going to Kelowna?" He's like, "Yup," and I'm going to win the race. And that sounds
that's
very
been
much
every
like something
call mail correspondence in the history of the planet.
I know you didn't ask.
Don't you guys wish you had a little bit of that in you? Be honest.
Yeah.
Don't you? I love that.
I always think I'm going to win, but I never do. It doesn't mean just because you say you're going to win, you're going to win.
Do you say you're going to win unbashfully, like with conviction every time like this man? And he'll say it publicly, no problem?
He's won one time.
I hope
that's the first. Let's think slow. He would have, if he could do a Herc-hoist, he would have been.
He could do obstacles.
Nick beat him. He got fourth. Mm-hmm. He got second in Utah last year, first in Utah with the same amount of climbing, like a month or so ago. Like Big Bear wasn't his best course.
He does well in his backyard.
Yep, that's true.
This is not in his backyard.
I feel like Hawk could get 1 or 2. Chris is gonna get at best third.
You said he was gonna win.
Yeah, no, I'm aware, but I think he'll win. At worst, he's gonna get second, and that's better.
I would have taken Hawk.
Than Chris's.
Me too.
Taking Hawk over Atkins?
Over Chris.
Oh. No, I was thinking about it. I don't think that's a bad move. But
no,
I'm saying I think you made a bad move.
I disagree. There's the men's field's deep.
Yeah. But who was with Hawk in Utah?
I could see Josiah slipping in there. I could see Ryland slipping in there. A couple of these Canadian athletes.
Josiah's doing a 4-stage bike race right now in Canada. It's like 23,000 feet of elevation gain and like something like 60 miles a day. and it ends on Thursday afternoon. So he's going to get like 1 day of recovery and then do this type of course. I can see his legs being blown up a little bit.
Why didn't
Did
you
you
tell
guys
us
know
that,
that?
Jack?
Did you guys know that?
He publicly posted it.
I didn't have my time to do my research, guys. I was so busy reaching out to athletes.
Texting.
I just scrolled through Instagram.
170 people. All right. So
Regardless, Josiah's still going to get top 5 because it's a mountain course. I think he'll fade a little bit at the end, but I would have picked him in round 4 if he was still available.
I'm sure he's going to do well, but
yeah,
I don't think he's going to win.
He's reliable. All right, Kirk Bracken back to back. You got some gems to pick from.
I've got 2 on my end, so I got a clear 2. I'd go if I was solo picking right now.
Do we agree that one's Rylan?
Yep.
Okay. Let's take.
It matters what order we take him here, though, doesn't it?
Is he in keeper slot either way?
If you pick him 7th, he'll be keeper.
So I think we pick the other human.
Is your other human Mick?
My other human is Jamie Brusa.
Jamie Brusa. Okay, let's
go. Because we need to keep it balanced here on the genders this time, Bracken, remember?
Could have had her in the 10th. Take her in the 2nd instead.
I didn't do that.
Well, if we would have known about Frick and Josiah's bike expedition.
Hey, now you get both of them.
Okay, let's go Josiah Jamie, here. Then Rylan. You cool with that?
That's what I prefer. That was easy.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I have a question totally unrelated. Can you see what I'm wearing on my waist today?
Can't.
You can't see it? That's too bad.
Is it nothing?
I always think that.
No, I got jorts on today. I didn't know if you guys could see them.
Yeah.
You can see what we can see, Bracken. The thing about Rylan after Utah, and I don't know if he was public about this or not. I'm sure all of you know this, but dude had a rough race in Utah and still like put out. Dude was coughing up blood, and I mean that guy was yakking off course, and he still finished pretty strong. And his training's been good since.
He's fit.
And so I see this going really well for Shattuck. This could be his true coming out party. If there's anybody who's going to wedge their way, I think, into that Atkins Hawk where, kissing their butts right now, I think it's Rylan.
Rylan did some Cirque series in Utah a few weeks ago, and he beat David Norris and Allie McLaughlin during that race. Both of them have won Mount Marathon in the past.
Insane.
And yeah, we know how good Allie McLaughlin is as a climber. Doesn't matter what gender, she's one of the best in the world. And David Norris is an Olympic skier, and he's won that race. So Rylan is fit. You saw what he did in Deca Mile as well. Good pick.
17:04.
I think he's a steal. Yep.
Yeah.
I think he could beat Hawk.
Yep.
All right.
Rich, you're going to be mad at me on this one.
Oh, yeah?
I'm taking Sean Stevens Whale.
Nice.
He has no allegiance to Torque at all, and you know it.
I like that they're going early. Jamie's off the board.
I'm picking him.
Off the board.
So
like
Sean came to town in Colorado Springs maybe a month or two ago, and we went on a couple runs together, and he told me that he was going to stay out in Kelowna for a few weeks beforehand. I think he's going to know that mountain better than anybody, even the race director at this point. And if you look at his Strava, that's all he's been doing. He's just been running right near the Big White Mountain. Phenomenal climber, pretty good descender, and no travel issues whatsoever because he's literally basically at the mountain. And if there's a race for him to put it all together, I think this is the one.
What's kept him from putting it all together?
I think it's experience.
Yeah. He's been around since like 2015 though.
Listen, I like Sean a lot. And so this is the commentator hat going on, not Bracken as a person. He's in danger of becoming that person who has the same Jack Bauer or Kirk or Bracken or Rich, like pump him up before a race. He's about to do it, but we're waiting on it. He's in danger of becoming that. Like this person could put it together. I know he's so good, but just the commentator side says we've been waiting on that breakthrough for a while. So I still believe in him. I'm still a Sean believer, but I'm starting to get anxious about when it's going to happen.
What would be a breakout performance? What would you be like? Oh, okay, he's like arrived. Like, where would he have to finish in this race for you to be like, all right, he's a real player?
Top five. I think he's going to get 5th. Josiah's going to finish ahead of him. I think since he was a keeper, that's why he got picked after Sean. But I think Sean's right where he should be in my opinion.
5th off the board. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I think that he will do well. He has been living out there.
Yeah.
This is something that he's had circled. So
he has all the individual
bring it.
tools. They're all sitting there waiting. And I'm just, as a fan of his, and I would consider myself a fan of his, every time I go back and rewatch Tahoe, I love watching him climb up that mountain. I can't wait to see him put it together on race day, because we all know he has it in him. We're waiting on that day.
Now, Rich, was he going to make it past you with these 2 picks?
I think so.
Really? Okay, because I would have thought, being on Torque, you wouldn't have let him go by here knowing that you don't have another pick until round
I think
6.
they signed something on their Torque contract. Just understand, I'll never pick you in a draft.
Yeah.
Last year, I only picked Torque. I picked too much with the heart, and I have to pull it out. Commentator hat goes on.
And your mind doesn't believe in Torque.
It's there, but I'm just looking at it more objectively. I'm taking. Wait, what's the next race we have to draft? It's Canada.
OCR Worlds?
No, because we won't use keepers for OCR Worlds, right?
No,
that
it's
would
too
make a ton of
different.
sense. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd go and pick like someone from Europe right now.
Igor.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be too far from a KBB pick. I'm going to take Amanda Nadeau here.
I've sick the Tahoe once, and she lives in Canada.
Can run the mountains. Like, when we're looking at the women's field now, someone has to get like 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where we're at. And the field is really not that deep. I mean, she's a strong athlete. Like, it's going to be home turf. I don't know what her fitness is like currently, but she's throwing her hat in the ring. So I'd imagine she'll be ready to rock a little bit, or we'll be one to throw it down.
Post that said she's kind of been on 24-hour call. I think she's a firefighter as well, just like every single person knows the art seems.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she hasn't been in the mountains as much, so she's been training a little more flat. But I was going to pick her with my next pick if you didn't pick her with either of these two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I'm going to take Mick. Going Mick Girello.
Smart. He did 171 on a Nordic track.
Yep.
On a Nordic track.
On the Nordic track. That's
What's
scary.
That's calibrated less.
I would say that's like a 1.8 on a regular track.
7.8 to 8.1, somewhere in there,
Yeah.
I would say.
And he's probably top 3 descender in this field.
He's gonna have a good day.
He's not afraid of these moments. Like, he's been top 5 to 6 in world championships in North America. Yeah, like
he always shows up.
He came to West Virginia one year, and I think he got 6th.
And you know what he does well is he really embraces the beat everyone else. Like, he's not the guy I think is going to go out and try to contend for the lead no matter what and blow up. He's the person who continually picks people off. He's just a good racer.
Yeah.
Like, you could get a boom for him, but you're not going to get a bust. He's going to be closing. And on nasty courses, which it sounds like this might be, he's going to be closing.
Listen, we've been chatting a little bit. He's got an incline trainer now, right? He's been hitting workouts. His metrics, climbing, I'm faster than he is on the flats. He is smoking me on anything climbing. And I'm not no gold standard, but like, his metrics he's throwing out are things I've never done. And so I think he's going to be insanely quick going up and down that mountain.
Yeah, I think he could get 4th or 5th.
Yep.
Maybe 3rd. I don't know, because he's a gamer. I don't know. Like, I don't know how he could get 2nd. You know?
Yep, he could.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I was really torn between Sean and Mick. Mick has basically never lost to anybody besides Atkins, who's Canadian. He's except a couple of flukes where he's missed a spear, and that's the only reason why people have beat him during a race. I think Sean's beat him once, Jesse Bruce has beat him once, but other than that, he's the runaway number 2 in Canada. My only reason for picking Sean ahead of Mick, who they could easily switch positions there, was that Sean has physically been at the mountain for a few weeks, but you got a steal right here in round 4.
Yeah, if you would have taken Mick, I would have taken Sean here.
Yeah.
Torque. All right.
Exactly. Okay. I guess my pick. Oof.
Yours simplifies ours.
I'm gonna go Ashley O'Hara.
Oh,
That actually wasn't my next rated female.
I know who yours was.
Do you?
But yeah,
Who was it?
Natalie Miano.
No, actually. Normally, yes. Historically, I take her high.
And then Bethany McChesney.
Bethany. I liked what I saw in flashes in Utah.
Whoa. I didn't get to even talk about Ashley O'Hara.
Well, no, we're not. We're just arguing amongst ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, should we pick?
No, Ashley's gonna crush it. She's always sitting in like top 5 or so position on the climbs. She's not a great descender, but if you look at who's in this field, I don't know if you could pick anybody besides her with this slot. And kind of like Rich mentioned, like somebody has to finish in 5th place, someone has to finish in 6th place. So I think she's a good value pick here. And she has a 4th place finish at a national series race under her belt. She lives in the mountains, so I'm happy with the pick.
It's a good pick.
Yeah. You going Bethany, you said?
No, I didn't say that. I said she was the next
rated
female for me.
Also, for Ashley O'Hara, does it count if you are Canadian but live in the United States? Yeah. Do you still get the transfer?
You get booze when you come home.
I thought maple syrup, but yeah.
No, like booine.
Oh,
not Molson's.
Well, you see my
Labatt Blues.
You probably, there's probably both.
Yeah.
Kirk, we're in an interesting spot where.
How many guys do we have?
Yeah, one pick.
We have 2 with Josiah and 2 females.
If we look at the breakdown, 2 and 2 for you guys, 2 men, 3 women for me, 3 men, 2 women for Rich at the moment.
Dude. We're already to that point trying to figure out who remaining can finish top 5.
And my eyes go to one human being.
I see, and I see 2. I think Bethany could, and I think that Ryan Woods could.
I think Ryan Woods has been in his layer here since he's not Chase Savage. I think that if he's has he been on any long course that we've seen this year?
Utah, Big Bear, Mexico.
Was he in Mexico? Oh shit.
Oh no, was he in Utah?
I don't think he's been. I don't think we've seen him as much as you just cocked me off there, Jack.
Moderately successful podcast.
I did not.
Lay off.
100% in Mexico.
He wasn't
over that because
we saw him a lot in Savage. Big Bear, Bracken saw him.
Yeah.
Can we scroll to the maybes for a second? I just want to see.
Oh God.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Just want to get a lay of the land.
Oh, KBB pick coming. Here it comes.
Oh, Annie Doobie's a maybe.
That's it.
We already addressed her.
Okay. Kirk?
It's between Bethany and Woodsy. I know Jesse Bruce has had some stellar performances and then some where he's been disappointing performances, and same with Austin Azar. I don't know what his fitness is, but those two, I don't know. Jesse Bruce was 6th at the North American Champs in West Virginia a few years ago, right behind Mick. But I believe he's an East Coaster, not living at elevation, right? So, and I don't know where Bethany lives. Do we know where Bethany lives?
She's in Ontario.
Outside of Toronto.
Yeah.
If this is the
She's also East
altitude
Coaster.
West Virginia, do you pick against Woods?
My gut tells me Woods.
Then let's take him.
Let's do it. Good old Woodsy. I think he's been sticking his head in that altitude tent at night. I know he's still got that in a closet somewhere. He's been sleeping in it. He's been cutting back on the wine. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go get a paycheck. And he's going to show up dialed in. If Woodsy's dialed in, even if he's 43 or whatever he is, it's going to be dangerous.
I know he was just on a wine tour.
Stop that. Stop that.
Previously it was NBA season, so we had NBA analogies for days. Now it's getting into football season. To me, Woods here is Derrick Henry. It's like, especially if you're drafting him in a fantasy draft, it's like he could really blow up, but it can also be that pick where it's like he's gonna just not have it. So this is definitely boomer bust here for this pick.
And I would say Matt Ryan
on the Colts.
No Julio Jones.
In terms of age and recent years production.
See that?
Okay, so worse than Derrick Henry.
Don't
Not
forget.
worse, just Derrick was the top dog 1 year ago.
Ryan Woods was second place last year in Tahoe at this same exact championship.
There you go.
We got some old boys between Josiah Maddow and Ryan Woods with back-to-back picks.
Yeah.
We got some age.
This is the all nostalgia team.
Yep.
Took Lindsay over Emma.
This is a very Bracken type of draft.
Whoa,
It
this is
goes with
KB Corral.
I'm just saying, historically, it fits. Jack, your pick went. You're taking Casey here.
Oh, that was a keeper.
Yeah, that's a good keeper. Yeah, I was kind of bummed you kept her there because she could be one of those athletes who does finish fifth. You know, with this pick here, so
someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to finish there, and she has done it. She has finished fifth and sixth at national series races, and this is not as competitive. So I think
this could be breakout. This could be one of those where if Chris finally has 100-miler affect her, this could be her podium.
Yeah.
Or Amanda's or Jamie's.
Right. She's in that list of women where if a top dog falters, I think she's leading that pack of who could be the next one in.
Are we expecting these obstacles to be the US based obstacles that we're typically seeing? Because sometimes the Canada obstacles are a little bit different, right? Is there going to be or the Mexico race, right?
I expect this to be more Mexico than US.
Okay. So they're like a 10-foot wall or something like that.
Well, I don't know. Even just use of terrain. I expect this to be a little bit gnarlier than what we would have seen had it taken place a few hundred miles to the south.
Kirk, you've done some races in Canada. What are the obstacles how are they typically different?
Well, I don't know. That was many, many years ago, but I mean, the balance beam, for example, which is in like a zigzag Z shape, it was wet and absolute nightmare. I mean, it could get most of the field in bad conditions. They had the Hobie hop, which is where you put rubber bands around your ankles and have to hop like a stupid bunny over like sticks and tires and garbage. They have like I don't know, it's like a gymnastics tricep dip bar that you got to traverse. That was different.
Parallel bars, Kirk.
Parallel bars. That's
that
what
was my CrossFit games recently.
I don't know. The balance beam would be very interesting. I'll tell you what, I could see that's an easy one to throw up, and that one could just shake the field up in a second. But those are the ones that stand out to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm up.
I don't see the Hobie hop happening. There was like half the bag. It was like this thing with the sandbags, right? So you get a sandbag, it's had a hole in it. Well, I put on one rubber band around my ankles, and I started hopping. It snapped in half. I had to go back at another one, started hopping, snapped in half. My third try, I had lost like 30 seconds just because of like equipment failure. I don't think that'd be a good option in a race like this.
Imagine being the first time tuning into the coverage and seeing, which I'm sure will be spectacular. And imagine seeing like these people like hopping with rubber bands on their feet. I'd be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It felt like the dumbest thing I was doing when I was doing it.
I will not partake or watch.
In Mexico, we had to do it with a children's soccer ball between our ankles. You had to hold it between your feet or between your ankles and hop up and down 3 staircases.
It sounds hard.
And if you dropped it, you had to restart from wherever it came to a stop. You didn't get to take it back to where you were. So if you were at the top of the staircase, you had to catch that ball before it made it to the bottom.
I love
It's ridiculous.
That's amazing.
What would that be? Would that be like
saved my race?
Like a half gallon of maple syrup in Canada, the equivalent?
You have to hold it in your mouth and then respit it back into the jug at the end.
Some poutine related obstacle. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to take Natalie here. Natalie Miano. So I'm going to get Beatrice and Natalie back to back.
Rich, I have 5 people remaining that I thought were my high flyers, and she was one of them. For whatever that's worth.
I mean, yeah, that could mean nothing. That's good or bad.
What's her health status here? Has she been back to full swing?
That's the question. It's like, how healthy is she?
She's not coming here unless she's healthy. So I feel good about her.
Well, and every time we see her, she's a month further along the comeback trail fitness-wise progression of training. So we talk about those people who might just snag a podium. Like, she's on that list.
She's done it before.
It's a long course, altitude, nasty terrain, which she's done it in Jacksonville, right?
We would never doubt her. It's just what version of her has she been able to work back towards?
Where did she finish in Utah? Get those results right
maybe
there.
9th.
Okay.
And you take out Rose, Rhea, Alex, you're you move her up 3 places. Now she's fighting for 6th or 5th even.
Yeah, good pick. Nice. All right, so that's me. What about Batchers? How do we feel about Batchers doing at a course like this? He goes after these type of races, right? Like he will stick his nose in. Yeah,
he's gonna do well.
He'll just put it out there. Yep. So we'll see about what these descents are going to look like. I think will be a big indicator of where he will finish, but he's going to put it out there. And if he does it like how he did Mexico, he was winning Mexico for a good portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using a bad comparison, but if this is the altitude West Virginia, we've seen 2 types of Botrytis there. On those roads, he can descend with anyone on those. He's so fast looking. You remember the coverage when he comes barreling down those into the trees? And then there's the really technical through the bushwhacky tree area. And he's the worst descender of the top 5 guys. He's still good, but when you have Atkins and Kempson and those type of guys in Logan, he was behind them on that. So it really comes down to how do they design this course on the descents, because we know he can do like 3 of the 4 pieces with anyone on the planet. It's that 4th piece, the technical descent. How much of that does he get?
He's so fit. It's like if you get to that like 25-30% grade or more and it's bomb, and it's where his like gears switch a little bit, but if it stays shallower than that, he's a monster.
Yeah, he's really improved his descending over the years.
Yep.
Yeah. He had his best ever finish at Big Bear also. I think he got 7th there. So if there's power hiking, we know he can go up the steep grades as well at this point.
Yeah, this is a value pick here.
Yeah.
Keeper strategy.
Yep.
Big brain. All right,
Jack, don't screw this up for us.
All right. Well, I don't think I'm going to take someone who's on your radar for this pick. I'm going Brendan Neely from Canada.
All right.
You know about
He's run really well this year.
Yeah, just behind Mick in a few races. And I think he was on the Canadian national mountain running team for at least a year before he did OCR.
Rich isn't buying it.
I don't think so. Maybe.
Mick mentioned something about that when I talked to them. But yeah, he's super fit. And I think, where was the Red Deer? He was like 15 seconds behind Mick in the sprint, and then less than a minute behind him in the super, and both of them ran clean races. So good value pick in my opinion. I'm just going with the Canadians.
So Brendan's in an interesting position because he's been on fire this year. I think we've all noticed it in the results.
Yeah.
But there's 1 of 2 things that happens when you get those type of people off the regional circuit into the big race. They either expand up into that role, or you find out that Mick was running to win. And then he has another gear or 2, and then the gap gets stretched out. And this is kind of like we talked the wrestler test for Hawk, who we get to see on technical terrain. Now we get to see him on a big boy course. He did great against very good people on the local scene. And now we get to find out what is his ceiling like. And that's exciting for me as a fan to watch.
Yeah, we've seen it a few times where, Logan or Kempson in the past they've been crushing local races for a year or 2, and then they finally have their breakout. And that Brendan could have a similar experience here, or just the pressure comes to him. And I think that if it was the full deep, the 10 big names who aren't showing up on the men's side, if they showed up, might have been tough to pick them in the 6th round right here, but I think he's going to have a breakout race.
Yeah, I don't think that the Kempson and Logan parallel is exactly the same, because they had stuck their nose in a bunch of big races before that. This is actually going to be his first big race. Is there precedent for someone just doing regional races and then stepping into
maybe?
She didn't even do regional races. She just showed up at US National Series races.
Yeah.
Smashing. But
almost everybody's humbled.
Maybe Mick Girello. Maybe Mick is the precedent here. Angel come over to the US a little bit after Mexico. But I do have Mick's text pulled up when I asked him about Brendan, who was on my radar, and he's like, most people don't know that he was a collegiate cross country guy and ran on the Canadian mountain running team for at least a season. Okay. So either Mick's lying to us, or
most people don't know that because it's not accurate.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, what kind of credentials do you need to be on that team? Can you just join? Is it just are you just on it?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
He also played professional baseball for Canada's professional baseball circuit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Curling.
Toronto Blue Jays.
He's a high level
No,
curler.
that's Major League Baseball. Stay out of there.
Yep. All right. Brack and Kirk, back-to-back picks. I think I left you who you wanted.
Well, we
Kirk,
got to take her.
I see 2.5 obvious picks.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, but I see two. I'm wondering who your half is. I see 2. I guess the half we could be split on here. We got to take Bethany, right? Let's just take her right away.
Yeah, let's take Bethany.
Yep, that's a no-brainer.
And I would take in this position. There's someone I want to take, but I would think Jesse Bruce is smarter right now. Like he's still around is kind of a steal, I would almost say at this point.
Yeah.
I think he's being disrespected by even being the 20th pick. That means that we think he's going to be the 10th male. And I would be shocked if he's 10th or worse as a man.
How do you pick apart Josh Fry right now?
Well, he's my half. He's my other one. I think that he is maybe has a higher ceiling than Jesse, actually. I think he could put it together. So he was the other one.
Well, he did well, I believe. Didn't he do well at the North American Champs in Tahoe last year? And I don't know what kind of shape Robert Killian is in, but he's given Robert Killian a good run in Seattle last weekend in both races. It looked like it came down to the wire.
I would be very happy with Josh Fry right here as well. So Jesse or Josh, maybe I'll let you just take her. You take the call here, take the reins. I wanted Bethany.
It's worth the discussion. I wanted Bethany too, so we're both happy. And then there's a disservice being paid to Austin Azar, who we don't know what kind of fitness he's in, but the dude's been 10th in the world, and he's been top 10 at Palmerton in a race I was in. So dude can play. But I think Jesse Bruce, with his 6th place at the NA Champs in West Virginia a couple of years ago, like that sticks out to me. That was a stacked field.
Yeah, Josh. So we've interacted back, leaderboard days with Josh. He was one of our original guys back then. So I'm a Josh believer. The only issue I have with Josh's performances is that they've not yet been against like his best ones, North America champs last year, or against Killian. We don't know what type of shape Killian was in, and they've not yet been on hyper technical courses. Not that this is going to be hyper, but it might be. But we know Jesse Bruce can do technical and he can do wet. So it's less of a slight at Josh and more of I know Jesse has done it because we've seen him do it. And he's been successful at OCR World Championships.
Jesse Bruce it is.
Okay. But Josh Fry, I hope that we still snag you. So don't take him. Anyone else?
No, you're not going to stick around.
I love the Jesse Bruce pick here. I think that's definitely the move. I mean, with Josh, we just haven't really seen him. Like you said, Bracken, like we haven't really seen him outside of the Pacific Northwest. When I guess it's probably like a drive for him, sort of Pacific Northwest, but not really. But
if Josh is top 5, I would say, yeah, I believe that for sure. But if he's out of the top 10, you could maybe see it happening, and I don't see Jesse outside the top 10.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Jesse's going to come and bring it. He's a gamer. He'll be ready. He's been doing a lot of try stuff, I think.
Jack's going to take him right here.
Yeah, he did a 9.5 hour Ironman this past weekend, so it's on you for not looking up his.
Who did?
Jesse Bruce.
Yeah, but he did it.
Yeah, I mean Chris ran Leadville, and you've got a bunch of Josiah. He's doing that 4-day mountain bike ride. Like no one's there are a lot of people coming in not fresh, but
2 weeks is the sweet spot for physiological adaptation and recovery combined. It's gonna click right on Saturday morning for him. He's gonna be recovered and new fitness. Yeah. He might even win.
There's a lot of guys.
He's got durability if he's doing Ironman. So,
and to reiterate, Jack did not do homework. He didn't have time for this race.
Nope. Just literally clicked on his profile, asked him, "Are you showing up?" And his picture or video was.
You might have actually just defined what doing homework is.
Yeah. Okay. I give you the names. I share the list all week.
Listen, Jackson.
I'm not saying that it's unfair, just that your opening remark on this episode was I didn't have time to do homework.
Yeah.
Jackson last place.
I know. It doesn't matter if I do homework or not. I'm still 3 and 5.
No matter.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Who you got?
Next pick. I think this person is actually going to finish in 5th place. Margaret Jessen from Canada. He probably wasn't going to get picked by either of you.
See Jack being smug again with his tone.
We've had this song and dance before. And I'm going to have my same response I always do.
Ciro
If she wasn't going to get picked by us and no one knew about her, why didn't you take her last?
What? Yeah.
No.
This is a wild card pick.
I didn't think she was necessarily going to get picked right away, but because you do have to pick women at some point, I was thinking that you guys looked through Canadian results this year and saw that she won a couple races.
Wait, is she even on this list?
Right here,
Yeah, on your list, not the one. What's her name?
Margaret Jessen.
She ain't on the list that you sent us.
There's no look at it.
I'm looking at the list you sent us. I'm not looking at your list. I'm looking at the one that you sent on.
Yeah, this is your personal roster here.
This
Jack.
is.
Hey, I wasn't going to take because I did look up these athletes. I looked at them all.
I'm looking up look at the picture right there. Yeah, she's on line 14.
I'm looking at Monica Holmwood on my line 14.
Literally right here. I can't see the.
Hey,
I'm
I'm looking at mine.
Number
Right.
14.
Tell us why you think this person that no one's ever heard of is going to get 5th place in this race.
So she's run a couple races against Lindsay, and she's been 9-10% slower than her, and that's kind of Chris Rogloski, Alex Walker territory. And she's also really good at technical downhills based on a couple people that I've asked, including her. And I think she's probably the 3rd best Canadian here. It's in Canada. You have a lot of women from the US who aren't going to be there, so I'm picking her.
Man, imagine the intel you could have had if you had time to do homework this week.
I know.
Am I the only one who spends like no time on social media these days, and I am in the dark on absolutely everything? I feel like I know nothing about anybody anymore. Bracken, are you the same?
I'm up on Athlinks. No, I'm up. I don't check their Instagram to see how their fitness is coming along, because not many people are like, I've trained 3 out of 7 days this week.
Right.
Can't wait for this race.
I feel like I'm digging my own grave though over here.
Check me
this
out.
is the least prepared we've ever been as a team, Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
This is?
Wow. Yeah, this race right here.
Which means we'll win.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So back-to-back, Rich, you've got 3 and 3 for the genders.
Yes, I do. I'm going to take Chris Swanson here.
He's a really good runner. He was who I was hoping to get next round.
You're not getting him.
You should have taken him instead of Margaret.
Yeah. Held out on that. I'm glad you put Chris Swanson's name on this list. Thank you for texting everybody.
I did. Yeah.
I'm glad you put this person's name here, so I saw it.
What did you find out about him when you did your research?
Oh, I know him a little bit. I know he's a really good mountain runner. I don't think he's done too much in OCR. He's shown up to a couple of national series races, and he just doesn't really put it together. Just doesn't have the experience. So I think at a course, he's Canadian as well. I think he trains with Sean Stevens-Whale, or has, and they've been friends. And like, I think Chris is a bit of a better runner than
Do you remember
Sean.
that Tougher Mudder 10-mile world championship that Albin won in Seattle? I think.
Seattle.
Yeah, Chris was like less than a minute. They rounded to the nearest minute because something happened with their timing chips, but he was like on Atkins and Batters for most of that race.
So he's like 5th or so.
Yeah, 4th or
Was
5th.
Hunter at that one?
Not at that one.
Not that one.
No.
Yeah, I think that was. I think Atkins was off the podium at that race.
Could have been. Okay, then maybe Chris was one place off, at worst 5th. I thought he was 4th, but you could be right.
I thought it was definitely
Maybe
Albin, Batters,
Woods,
maybe, and I think Woods got 2nd. Yeah.
Lindsay was helping people up the ramp, and she still won it. So.
Very tough mutter of her.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Chris does. He's a bit of a flyer.
Yep.
But he could be in the mix. Just with the Canada thing, being in Canada, and
good research.
I know that he's Canadian.
Yep. So 4 men, 3 women. You've got.
Give me Annie.
Dang
it.
Taking Annie.
That was a KB Crowd pick screaming at us in this round.
I can't believe she lasted this long past the last round where you like.
I'm just not sure if she's going to race. That's the tough part.
I don't know either. And I don't have any, I honestly don't know. I'm just looking at everybody else left and like, if she races, she's going to beat all these other people who are there, even if she's not 100%. But I don't know. I honestly don't know if she's going to race or not. We talked about it. If she does race, she'll do fine. She'll get 5th or 6th, maybe 3rd.
She'll do better than that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So
it's the wrong course to show up with ankle questions,
Mm.
but I think she could walk the downhills and go top 10.
Probably. She won that race, that South Carolina race. It was like a pretty decent field. And that's super the day before the age group championship. So her fitness is good. It's just a matter of how she's going to be feeling that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a steal right there.
Keep her.
Yep. All right. Well, sorry guys, I'm going Josh Fry. Can't leave him on the board after this. We already talked about him, and he's probably the best guy left out there.
Well, those two picks were who I was hoping to take with these two picks.
Wild card.
Yeah.
Which, Kirk, is it Austin time?
Yeah, let's just check off our dudes and get done with it.
He's
one of those, like, at his best, he has been a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you throw a double sandbag in there, and that guarantees Austin's going to be 5 positions better than if it was a single sandbag. If we had Spartan of old, I mean, the way that boy moves with weight on his shoulders, he's one of the bigger, strong dudes. It's just like it's been taken away from us. And maybe Canada will surprise us. Maybe they will come through and be nasty, and then Austin is going to climb the ranks among some of his peers.
Yeah.
But I mean, top 10 in the world, top 10 in U.S. National Series races before. He's one of those sleepers. I just don't know enough about what his fitness is right now.
Good descender, good technical terrain runner, and just like Jesse and Mick, will be closing.
And probably one of the nicest guys ever.
Yeah.
Which is a good feather to have in your cap.
And he's Canadian, so he probably has a little bit of pride, just like we saw in Mexico with the athletes. It's like, I want to do good in my home soil.
I'm glad to have Austin. I
Me
root
too.
for that guy, yeah.
All right, so you have 5 men, 3 women, I believe. So you've got to go back-to-back women.
Honestly, close our eyes and throw darts at this point. Only because of my own ignorance. I don't know enough about the women left. That's all it has to do with.
You expect these women to show up and go to battle for you?
I would like
that
Teresa.
type of attitude? Good one.
Teresa, please. Chikova.
Okay, I was going to say you're going to have to pronounce her last name. Otherwise,
Well, tell me about Teresa. Teresa. What's her bio?
Well, she's been picked in the 25th position here. She's going to be on Team KB Corral.
Oh, God. Okay.
She's
I think
racing
she
just won
this
Hawaii.
weekend.
I think she won the best international course. I think
Yeah.
she did 2 of the, or she may have done the full trifecta, so she might be a little bit tired.
She's really, really good runner. She beat Casey and Ashley Heller in Arizona, I believe, earlier this year. I think
She's good at stadium. She's a solid stadium racer. Yeah, she'll be on the podium contention for that. So I mean,
she's a top 5 potential.
She's the best woman left on the board.
They all are.
And she knows how to win races. And I think that's important. She's been in battles against other women and come out ahead. There are people who snag podiums and people who win that battle for the first place. And she knows how to do that. And I think that type of experience plays out when you're closing down at the end of a nasty race, knowing how to take that extra half minute or minute in the last mile or 2.
Yeah.
She beat Lacey Burgess was in Hawaii, and Lacey's no slouch. So she'll be in
Welcome to the team. Welcome to the team.
Now you know more about her for next time.
Thank you, guys.
Nice
Sorry, Teresa.
No, she's definitely a good value pick at this point. All right. My pick, Rich, you've got 4 and 4 just like me. I'm going to finish with the women and go Monica Holmwood.
Oh, nice.
She's from Australia. She got second at the APAC championship in 2019, the last time that they held it. And I don't know, if you get second at a regional championship in a different region, it's not the same as getting it in North America or Europe, but still that's talent. And she has a number of podiums. She's probably been the 2nd or 3rd best Australian racer for the past 4 or 5 years. And I don't know, I'm not going to leave her on the board for risk because you probably know of her.
I actually did some research on her today, and I had her on here. One of 2 names who I would have taken this last female pick. Yeah, so I'm interested to see how the Oceania athletes are performing.
She's been in Canada for about a week or so. Lindsay McKenzie told me, and he was almost 10th place in Utah. So, Australia's good, and especially in a weaker women's field, got potential there to sneak into the top 10.
You say 15th is almost 10th?
No, I thought VJ got 11th, and I think he was like 30 seconds behind VJ.
I thought he was like 14th or 15th.
Oh, okay, maybe he was. I don't know. Just going on.
Almost
memory.
10th. Round down. That's fine.
That guy.
Low double digits.
Okay.
All right,
Stat
so you're
that,
4-4.
Jack.
These are
Stat
your-
that.
Yeah, stat that. Hey, at least I know who's on my team.
I picked Teresa for a reason.
Yeah, you're
Don't
like
be
she's
digging at
on
me. I've been
team-
nice to you today.
Yeah. All right.
And what do you
Rich,
get for it?
Double dip. Men, a male and a female. You need to pick.
I'm gonna take Elizabeth Murray. Mary.
Pick.
Prison. So
She was
yeah,
next up for me.
she's thrown her hat in the ring this season. I mean, she's been in big races all year and finished between like 12th and 15th at most of them, with a shallower field here.
She's taken the Jamie Brusso Award of past, where she'd always finish 12th.
Yeah, she really has been kind of in that role, and take some of these other athletes not showing up, and this could be a good kind of like a breakout for her, getting into like a top 10. I could see it. I don't know where she lives. Jack, do you know where she lives and trains?
I do not.
So I have no idea, but she was still I think she was 12th at Utah.
In
And if
Utah.
that's going to project taking out the 3 or 4 women, maybe she's 9th, maybe she's 8th, maybe she gets paid. We're rooting for her to get paid, especially because she's traveling to all these races. Respect. So let's get her paid. All right. And then I'm going to take Jacob Klinker.
Most recognizable name left on the board.
Finish out the team. And that was the last name I had. I'm glad you didn't take him, because I was like looking back at these other names. Like, oh boy. We haven't seen him much this year, have we?
He's been at all of them.
Klink's been around.
Has he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's taking his lumps this year.
Huh.
I respect that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep
He
showing
kind of had
up.
a breakthrough last year.
Last year.
Yeah. But he's improved a lot for sure. I just think that the competition's so deep that you kind of get lost in the shuffle when you finish 15th, even if you have a good race.
All right.
Yep.
That's my team.
All
Jack,
right.
you got a dude left.
I have a guy, Bracken and Kirk. You have a woman. I'm going Jeff Crar, 50 years old. You guys were bragging about Ryan Woods and Josiah being the old ones. I'm going Jeff Crar. That Meet the Minotaur, that or the Sky Race that Emma won. Atkins, I think, got 3rd or 2nd there, and then Lindsay got 3rd. Jeff Crar got 9th, and he was 9%.
Wow.
He was 9% slower than Atkins, and he's beat Mick before during a race. Or got just behind him at a super steep Kimberly course.
Which one is it?
I don't remember. It was really close. I forget, but
Saying
bottom
like he
line-
won a Super Bowl, but he almost won a Super Bowl.
come on, Bracken.
I mean, it matters.
Yeah.
Beating Mick is the same.
My gut is that he did win, but I could be fact checked. Macaulay, call me out.
Good throwback. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Jeff Crar, he's got some top end potential with his running. I don't know how he's going to do obstacle wise, but he can definitely go uphill.
I'm rooting for him already.
50 years old, man.
Heck,
That's the
yeah.
Col de Rosa
Get
pick
after
right
it.
there.
That is.
Jack, hearing you know all this makes me wonder, if you had to guess every week, how much time do you spend perusing results, looking at profiles, messaging athletes? Honestly.
Every week, well, this is like once a month for this. Let's say it's an off week, less than 1 hour.
Okay. But on race week, it gets pretty
But for
intense.
this,
Get
like,
out.
I need to find out who's there. Like, I have to follow up with 10, 15 people who are like, oh, I might do it. And it's like, hey, we're drafting tomorrow. Can you just give me more of an answer? But yeah, I would, it's not much the rest of the time, to be honest.
Okay. I'm impressed, Jack. That's all I'm saying.
I just have a good memory with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You can't have a memory if you don't know the information, though.
I told you it was at Kimberly, probably 2017 or 18. Look it up. Just have Macaulay do it. He'll fact check it.
Kirk needs more time to do research. So
I really do, guys.
Pledge to our Patreon. Free
really
Kirk
do.
some time.
Please.
All right.
So I'm excited to see what you guys do here.
Woman.
Kirk, do you have a leaning?
Shari Boyle. Sherry. What do you have? What's your lean?
I was going to go Rosalie Bilodeau, but Sherry would be probably 1 or 2 behind that. So I'm okay
Is
with
Bilodeau Canadian?
Yeah.
Sounds it.
Is Boyle Canadian?
Yes. I think that Canada. Lauren is the only American or U.S. athlete left.
Well, let's go with Boyle. I like Danny Boyle's movies.
That's good rationale.
Yeah.
So I get bashed for not knowing if Jeff Crar 5
No,
years
no,
ago, and you don't even know. You pick her because of the last name from movie you like.
2 key differences. First of all, I am not the stat guy, and I don't go by that. Second, I didn't put.
I didn't
out
claim
a fact.
that title. People assigned it.
You embraced it. I did not put out a fact as an argument tenant and then have it be wrong. I just said, I don't know anything. It's
I would
better to
actually
admit ignorance than to feign knowledge.
I would like to change our pick.
Okay.
I'm mostly French. Now that I'm really dissecting this pick,
Oui.
I'm like 75% French. I just don't have a French last name. So we got to go with Bolito.
You
Bilodeau.
sound
Bilodeau.
French. You sound French when you say it.
I feel more connected now that I'm dissecting this in my brain.
So
you
you're
don't
not
like
French
people.
heritage.
You don't like
Bilodeau
127
it
hours?
is.
You don't like Slumdog Millionaire? That's
No,
what
they're all
Jack-
great. But can we do that for me? Can we speak to my people, Bracken, and go with Rosalie? Bilodeau?
Yes.
I mean, Bracken has a good counter argument against picking her, so it's up to you. You have to
Lock
go
it
on
in.
stage.
What were you pulling in, Rich, of the Danny Boyle movies that you were ranking as top?
I mean, Slumdog's unbelievable.
See, and I would put 28 Days Later and even probably Sunshine ahead of that.
Really? I've never seen Sunshine, but I have seen 127 Hours. I was thinking about that a lot when I was in Utah. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, James Franco hasn't aged well in terms of his palatability.
I mean, this was like 2010. Is that okay?
He
Can
was
I still enjoy
running
it?
his little racket back then too?
Can I enjoy the movie? from
You can
that?
enjoy the movie,
All right.
All right. Well,
and you can also pick Sherry.
Yeah, fortunately, you got back-to-back picks for your wild card.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
We got to do this all over again.
I want to swing for the fences with our wild card, and that should
KBB.
surprise no one.
Chris
KBB.
Brown, he's going to fly from Greenland.
So, Kirk, of all the people stateside who you think might make a change and fly up there and do this thing, who do you think has most likely to do it?
Do you have somebody in your head right now?
No.
Yeah, he does. No, he
Yeah,
does.
totally do.
It would be like Kempson does that. He's sneaky. He's also a liar.
He was.
That's what he's racing sometimes.
I've got to say, I didn't get a gray answer from any person this entire time from the usual suspects.
What did Killian tell you?
He said no.
KBB.
So I would say Killian. I would say Kempson. Who knows? Rose gets it today. Maybe it arrives.
Why isn't Lars racing? Answer me
He
that.
said he has too much work. He'll be at Blue Mountain though.
Man, he would have crushed this race.
I know. I probably would have picked him if he was around after the second round. That would be a steal.
Forrest Bogue, is he up there?
He had spinal surgery like a week ago.
That's
so
right.
He just started
bold-
running
bold
again,
choice.
What?
That would be a bold choice.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'd say Kempson is the only
Lauren
one.
Weeks.
Yeah, she probably come and crush.
I would say Kempson, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there a woman that we're not thinking of here that could flip the script?
Why is oh my goodness. Stat that.
Delete.
Texas.
Need more.
Alex.
Alex.
Why
Alex.
is
Yeah.
Alex not coming?
Oh,
I don't
Alex,
think
you're
she
gonna
can get into Canada.
She
Oh.
did the Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
we leave it at that.
Let's do Kempson.
What about
Matt or
Hobie?
Ryan?
What about Hobie Call?
Oh.
We didn't ask
Hobie.
about Hobie.
What about Ryland's brother? Maybe he'll show up.
Hey, the dude's like 14.
Dude, Hobie.
Take Hobie.
Hobie.
Going home. He's gonna come out of retirement for a Canadian race.
Why not?
You think Hobie's vaccinated?
I mean, Hawk's racing.
Hawk is, yeah.
Hawk's more of a free spirit. Hawk's got a ponytail and a tattoo.
Different generation.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you don't like any of the names on the board that we know for sure are going.
I do. Brian Kempson.
God.
Is that
All
who you're
right,
locking
they
in?
got take
All right.
Kempson. All right.
We just sucked up a lot of time with that nonsense.
that was
Sorry about
high
that, folks.
Top
High
50% we were saying
quality.
earlier. Yeah.
high
All
quality
right.
stuff.
Hold on. What about Taylor Turney?
No, he's not. He's switched from being a civil engineer like me to a firefighter. Imagine that, another firefighter, an OCR, and he's on probation and he can't travel for like 6 months.
Okay.
And where is Jess McConnell?
Jess O'Connell?
Probably
Jess O'Connell.
not doing this. She did not like her experience in New Jersey from what I've heard on the podcast.
She's Canadian.
Yeah,
She
you
is
want to pick
Canadian.
Jess O'Connell? Go for it.
That's
Let's
a good
keep
point,
Kempson.
Bracken.
Let's keep Kempson.
All
Kempson?
right.
Okay. Oh boy. A lot of names.
If you guys want to fast forward through this part,
No,
go ahead.
I'm gonna go this guy Justin Atfield, wild card. I've got to do a random runner type of pick every time. He told me that he was a 26 mid college cross country runner a few years ago. So
For what
maybe it'll-
distance?
8K.
8K.
Not 3
5K. It's not a great.
Yeah.
All right, so
Oh.
we know he can run 5:20 pace.
Yeah.
On a cross country course.
It's
Affield's and
probably
McCoy.
faster than most people in the field.
It's a start.
That's
No,
true.
that wasn't. I ran 26 mid.
Yeah, same.
That's all you need in OCR is 5:20 pace
Yeah.
on broken terrain.
Yep.
If
No
that
other
came off as
info.
a slight, I recant it. That
Your tone was.
Yeah,
that
redacted.
was,
No.
That was pretty. That was bashing the man. I hope
no,
he.
my
I hope
PR
he
is
beats every single
26:32
person on your list.
on a pancake flat Oshkosh course,
That's a good course to PR on.
which is not a 26:32 legit. So no, that was okay. He can run 5:20 off road. That's all you need in OCR.
It's true.
Rich, we've taken some pretty big steals off the board for you with this list
My
right
wild
here.
card list is in shambles. What did Faye tell you?
She's just
Say-
not racing. She said no, absolutely not, and she gave me a winery recommendation called Mission Hill, which I immediately forwarded to Ryan Woods.
Trying to
I don't know.
sabotage our team. I see.
No, for after the race.
I
Yeah.
think Canadian
I was gonna pick Woods. So
Canadian Rockies wine. I can't imagine. I would skip it.
apparently Kelowna is a very well-known winery area or vineyard in Canada, but we just don't know it because we're in the US and only here in Napa.
If it was good wine, we would know it.
That's true.
Wait, who did the corral take?
We picked
Kempson.
Kempson.
You don't remember.
KBB is available.
If you want to gamble on me,
No, I'm gonna take Susan McFarling because she's gonna be there.
All right.
She's like top 10 in some Canadian races. She'll be like anywhere third to fifth.
I've got her ranked as the 17th best woman in the field, so we
That's
picked
appropriate.
16 or 17. That's right there.
Would you had 16?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
jeez.
Playing this one close to the
Cold.
chest.
Yeah.
Jack-
Just in
Jack-
case I decide to change my pick, in case the unknown Justin Atfield decides not to race, I'll swap.
Man, do we like these teams? Let's go over them and see how much we like this.
First overall pick, Bracken and Kirk. Let's see who you picked. Let's read them out so people know who it is. Who'd you go with?
I'll start with the females, Kirk. Lindsay, Jamie Brusa, Bethany McChesney, Teresa Chikova, and Rosalie Bilodeau. Sorry.
That's right.
Two definite locks. One to get at worst second. One probably at worst fifth. In
And then we're rolling
I think
dice.
Jamie's that'd be her best outcome by a lot.
I mean, if there's no 9-foot wall, her Utah race is different.
Well, there's always a 9-foot wall, and there's always just the height obstacles are always.
There's not
Yeah.
always a 9-foot wall.
Was there one an
8-foot wall, I
8-foot
thought.
wall?
8-foot wall.
It's the wall, yeah.
And the Stairway to Sparta too. I mean, she's fit enough that she could kind of run herself, especially
Yeah.
in this field where
And
she
Bethany
will run herself
McChesney
into it.
has the mountain chops to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Also not tall.
Where does she live, Bethany?
for the second time this
Again,
episode.
I
Ontario.
forget. Tell me
Ontario,
again.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, Ontario.
Yeah, he's
You
East
guys
Coast. I
are
don't
real
think
prep
she's
for
not.
this one. I think Teresa is actually probably your best value woman pick. I wouldn't be surprised if she beats Bethany. I think Bethany's going to have a good race, but Teresa has had some really good performances this year. And I think Bethany's been a little bit more focused on DECA.
This is one of those races where I think if you look at your roster and separate them, people are going to feel a little uninspired because a lot of the top depth is gone. But I assume Kirk was approaching it the way I was, which is we need 7. We don't need a men's and a women's team. We need 7 combined. And I believe we have that.
Yeah, I would agree. If
Your first 5 are solid.
and go over the men's picks, so we can
Actually, most of it is.
For men, we got Rylan Shadig, Josiah Madow, Ryan Woods, Jesse Bruce, Austin Azar, and then our wild card is Kempson. But I think you could all probably say that about your men's team. It's deep enough where you're like, we got a couple people who could pop their heads into the top 5. Every single roster does, right? That aren't the guaranteed locks for, like, let's say a podium. So it's like, it really depends on how those shake out, I think.
3 to 8 is going to be really open on the men's side.
It is.
But you could get lucky. A couple of these have a good race. Suddenly you've got a lot more points than you expected.
When you say 3 to 8, so you're giving one to Atkins and giving one to Hawk?
Definitely.
Is that what you're doing right now?
I'm not giving it to Hawk. I don't.
Hawk's going to run away. He's going to have a bigger win than he did in Utah.
Dude's fit and confident, but the terrain is vastly different, correct?
Yeah.
From what we understand? Yeah.
If he's like his dad, he's every bit as good on technical as he is not on technical. But that's the question. We haven't seen it, and we need to see it.
We need to see it.
I had a meeting with someone this morning, an athlete of mine, and I said I believe that Hawk wins by more than Utah. So I'm with you on that, Jack. I believe it can happen. But even though I think that the gap between first and second on the men's side could be more than on the women's side, I think the odds of it happening are less. If that makes sense. I believe it's fully possible to happen, but I'll have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Usually when Atkins gets beat, he comes back with a vengeance, though. That guy keeps his receipts as much as anybody, right? So I'm just curious how that's going to play out. If Atkins sticks on him tight.
He did it in Big Bear.
Is there anyone better on technical terrain in the field than Atkins right now?
I would say Kempson's probably up there, but we don't think
Wild
he's
card
gonna race. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's the thing. It could be Hawk. The only option is Hawk. We just don't know yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Josiah, Rylan, like they could be just as good on technical terrain.
They haven't been.
Josiah's good uphill on that.
What is the technical terrain that we've seen Hawk like really excel in?
Utah was pretty technical.
Utah
I'm not gonna lie.
Like,
we just saw little glimpses. There's one when they went around like a little S descent. They took a left turn descent and then had a straight down descent. We just saw little 10-second glimpses, but Hawk looked every bit as good as Atkins did. And they looked better than a bunch of other people. So off the small glimpses we've had, he very well might be Hobie on technical. What I'm saying is that if he's not, no one's better than Atkins. And if he is, he's the only one that has a chance to be better than Atkins.
Didn't he come on your show and say no one in the sport is a better downhill runner than him?
Yeah.
Yep.
But he probably meant that on fire roads, or do you think he meant that period?
Period.
Yeah.
And we saw that for 3/4 of the race that was true. And then Atkins obliterated his time on the last descent, but the race was already run.
And in the gauntlet, but yeah.
Yeah. And Hawk had played his cards at that point.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've seen Atkins a couple of times go out with Josiah and Lars at Big Bear, for instance, instead of doing his usual, I'll make up time later on. Do you think he lets Hawk break away like he did in Utah, where it just might be an unmanageable gap? Because Atkins was in 5th or 6th when I saw him at the top of that 2-mile climb several miles in.
Do you remember what happened when Hobie Call was leading the U.S. National Series and Ryan Atkins and Hobie had a duel out in Asheville, and Atkins needed to beat Hobie to stay in the game, and Atkins and Hobie gapped the field by minutes, and Atkins lived and died by that strategy after his, he's had all his receipts accumulated, and Hobie got the best of him that day. I think we see that Atkins against Hobie's son is what I think. Glue.
You have to think about it in terms of the race scenarios, right? Like he had second kind of locked up Atkins, this is in Utah. And that was part of a series where the big payday at the end of the series is what really matters, right? Where I think it's 15 grand this year. Now he kind of has a stranglehold on the series a little bit because of a less than stellar performance from VJ. The payday is first, and he's been doing this a long time where he can kind of like, I'm sure he can pick his spots where he really wants to really sell out. And I'm guessing this will be one of those times where he's able to do it, where he's just been such a veteran in terms of like how to approach these series. This isn't his first series, right? This is like Hawk's first series. So any win he can get, he's going to try to get. Where Atkins probably like, yeah, that's fine. I've gotten second before and won the series. So
we're also talking how Atkins was in Leadville. Now he's in Kelowna. He's acclimated. Hawk lives at elevation, so he's not going to be affected at all. We're assuming Atkins is probably going to be good to go, or at least almost all the way there by race day. But that's going to be another factor that's not going to affect Hawk.
Ryan runs his own race to the level of who he thinks is a threat. Mm-hmm. And Hawk, he came into Utah knowing Hawk probably could win, but expecting that no matter what happened, he'd have the chance to rein him back in. Yeah. And now that Hawk has just said, okay, I'm an actual threat, Ryan assesses that, and then we'll play his hand accordingly. He's still going to do his own race, but how aggressive or laissez-faire he is going to be about how he does his own race has been impacted by Utah's result. So yeah, Kirk, I think I'm with everyone here that he's going to be more apt to stay in semi-contact than he would have been in Utah. Where in Utah, he probably thought Ryland was a bigger factor than Hawk.
Maybe Canada gives us a real carry as well.
Yeah, let's see how many Canadians each of us has. So Lindsay, Bethany, Jesse, Austin, Rosalie. So you've got 5 Canadians. Just keeping that in the back of our mind.
Yeah.
All right. We'll switch over to my team. And I think Austin and Jesse, those are good value picks in round 7 and 8 right there. Feeling pretty good about my team. Emma Cook Clark, Hawk Call, Sean Stevens Whale, Ashley O'Hara, Casey Monroe, Brendan Neely, Margaret Jessen, Josh Fry, Monica Holmwood, Jeff Crar, and wildcard Justin Atfield. So at the top, I was so happy that you didn't pick Hawk. No disrespect to Chris, who's obviously going to get third like usual. But I think having that ability to get a winner at the 5th pick, I was really happy with. Little bit of a stretch with Sean instead of Mick. That was probably the hardest pick for me right there. I think Ashley and Casey, you know what you're going to get there. Rest of the women, Margaret and Monica, probably going to be solid. And then Brendan and Josh, first time facing real big competition. So boom or bust right there.
Yeah, I'm looking at this team and I'm like, okay, Emma and Hawk get second, right? Just based off of past performances. Like, yeah, just say they get second. I think Sean can get 6th. Ashley O'Hara could probably get 7th. Casey, I think, can get 5th.
You think Ashley's going to get 7th in this race or this field?
What do you think?
I mean, clearly higher because I picked her where she is.
But Casey would have been picked before her if you didn't keep her.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh,
so you think 6th?
Jamie's in there. So yeah, probably in that 6 to 8 range. You're right.
I know. But then it's like trying to get those last 2, like the Brendan Neely pick and the woman you think is going to get 5th, who no one's ever heard of, who you withheld from us. Protest. This is all under protest.
Yeah, look at the screenshots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think all of our teams are going to come down to that like 6th and 7th athlete and how much they're not into like the 15, 16, 17 range.
We're all going to have a couple on the podium and then a lot of 4th through 8th probably. So you're right. It's the 6th and 7th that matter the most, just like in most races.
I think we're going to have really tight scores in these head-to-head matches, probably as tight as we've seen up to this point.
And not low. I think they're all going to
they're going to be the highest point totals as well.
Just in case if there is a tie, like at the top, are we scoring to 8th and whoever does better there? Or is it like the best, worst person that you had? We should probably be transparent ahead of time.
Cross country style.
That's your 6th guy, right? Cross country style.
I thought it was your 5th scorer decides it.
Okay. I don't know.
Well, for us, it'd be our 7th scorer decides
7th score decides it.
So your best worst.
And if that doesn't, then you bump back.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and on your team, on the Corrals team, I think Lindsay wins. What do you think? Ryland third, Josiah fourth. I have Woods here at like seventh.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be avoiding 8, 9, 10 scores.
Yeah.
And getting 5, 6, 7 scores. Usually, if you can have like a 10 or an 11, I think this time you're not going to be able to have more than a 7 or an 8 count.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of 5, 6, 7s.
I agree.
The Jamie pick is going to be huge.
Yep.
The Jamie pick is going to be huge. Like if she
All
gets
right.
fourth, or if she gets like 10th.
Or 12th, like usual.
Or 12th.
I think she'll get fourth. Yeah, Rich, you got a good team by names.
Yeah, yours looks scary, man.
What we got here? Got Atkins, Rogloski, Amanda Nadeau, Mick Girello, Mark Batris, Natalie Miano, Chris Swanson, Annie Doobie, Elizabeth Murray, Jacob Klinker, and Susan McFarlane.
Annie, that's your.
That's
Annie's your hinge.
I know.
You might want to slip her a hundo here.
Like,
Yeah.
Just what do you think? Just have it get out there and just see how it goes.
Give it a
We
shot.
all have 5 to 6 that we
know.
feel we can count on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one of those that we're like, like ours is Jamie. Like,
Mhm.
can she take care of business and be the best of that chase pack? Yours is Amanda. Can she be the best of the chase pack?
Mhm.
Each one of ours, that's a big point swing. That person that could be 3rd or 4th, but could be 9th or 10th.
I think that with Batris as well,
Hmm.
depending on how this course plays out for him.
Natalie could be big.
I'm writing things down. Like I had Natalie like 9th, whatever. Like Amanda 6th, just conservatively. Chris 3rd. Mick, I think Mick will get 5th. Put it on the Jack Bauer,
Yeah.
OCR or Obstacle Race Media, Yancey.
The prediction show. The top 5 predictions.
Okay. Put him on there.
Yep.
Kirk and I had a Mexico race where if Annie finishes the race, we win. And if she doesn't, we lose. And I think that's you.
Same.
If she races, you're set. Because then you have you have one more firepower piece than anyone else does.
I didn't realize this was going to be like the.
Yeah, we should be winning this whole thing
round.
by a long shot, Bracken. We've really got hosed a couple of times.
Yeah, I smell collusion between Rich and Annie.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Rich didn't pay up.
We'll see. Based on
she was
reflecting by
training
not
through, and there's no injury, but he's like, hey, just go out there, run the first few miles, and then step off course, and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Make sure you tell Jack
Take
that
some risks.
that you're hurt, so that he'll tell the rest of the group that, and then you know something. You're deflecting by not picking torque people because you know about Annie.
I think it's only fair that you have all the information most of the time. I'm holding on to my information this time.
Yeah.
How you like
Yeah, I'm
that?
transparent.
How's that feel?
On paper, this is the most parity we've seen this year with rosters.
Yep.
I don't have a feeling one way or the other about anyone's roster.
This is going to be so fun at the top. The Lindsay Emma battle. Jack, you better get on your horse, man. You better be rabbiting like crazy. I need to see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be using that gator a little bit to save something for Palm Beach because that's obviously my personal priority, getting that top 12. But I'll do my best to stick it out.
Is that the next weekend?
Yeah,
Palm Beach? Oh boy.
I know.
Jack, you're going to have the best seat in the house for this battle. This
I am.
might be a battle for the ages.
Fellas, how much would you pay? I would pay, like pay-per-view pay to watch Lindsay and Emma go head to head. I'd
Like
pay.
a cam
I
that
would
follows
pay
them
to
the whole
watch.
time.
Yep.
Is this
A 20 spot?
I'd put 20 on
25?
that. Yep, absolutely. I'm
Is
looking forward to
this-
that more than anything.
the best venue for them to go head to head? We don't know anything about it, but we have our suspicions on it. Can you think of a better court? Would you rather see them at Tahoe? Would you rather see them at Slow?
Only
again?
the
Like,
other nasty mountain course of the U.S., which would be West Virginia.
yeah,
That's a good question, Jack. I think this is going to be very exciting.
I think the fact that neither of them has run it, now you don't have that experience level coming in right there. So this is just raw. Who's a better racer?
You know how they have that bike lane on the side of major marathons where
Yeah.
people can bike alongside and watch? I would pay to have a
Like-
taped off route that mirrors the course to be able to run and watch the entire Emma Lindsay battle.
If you were there in person.
Yeah, I would pay to run that course, skip all the obstacles, and just run and watch the battle.
Think you make it to the top of the mountain with them?
I'm gonna try, but I don't know. I honestly don't think I can keep up with Emma all the way up. I did like
Today,
18
no.
minutes before I had to cut off once I heard Killian got hurt, and I was like, yeah, I've got like not much time left.
Need some of that EPO
Yeah.
and then keeping up. Maybe if it was Mexico, EPO. go
If
watch the
this race, they were both allowed to start on the men's starting line, I would bet that they'd have a shot. They'd be top 12, maybe top 10.
8th or 9th.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which means, do I think I could go top 15 right now in the men's field? Because that's about what it would take with doing no obstacles.
Are you going to go? Wild card. I could change my wild card.
Yeah. Pick Bracken.
If they'd let me race the female division, I would go. Because I think that would be fair. I could be fighting with Teresa.
Tuck it back and buy a plane ticket, Bracken.
Yeah.
And I'll pick you on wild card. So fill us in on what the coverage details are. What's going on?
We know no
we can
more.
watch this thing.
I think it's the same setup as last time. We have not had our official meeting yet about this, so we just
report.
Yep.
Is that
They're
on
doing it.
Spartan's YouTube then, or is that OCR Reports YouTube? I forget.
Probably on Spartan, I'm guessing. Check both of them just in case. But OCR Report is definitely handling the bulk of the work. Jason Dupree and I are getting in late on Thursday, driving there on Friday, checking out the course, maybe do like a little preview video on Friday. Maybe we'll wait in the morning, but I'm pretty sure it's Bracken, Kirk, and Megita in the booth again, handling things. Sean told me that reception is pretty good. There are a couple spotty sections on the mountain. So we're going to go get around the gator, just see what the frame rate is and stuff. And hopefully give you guys a heads up when coverage might be a little lacking. So don't expect it as good as Utah, because there were towers everywhere on Utah and I think overall it was a pretty clean video quality for most of that race, but we'll do our best to make sure that the camera work is as good as possible.
And we learned a bit from that first one. So I think Jason's routing through his home setup rather than relying on their network there, which could really help the clarity of what makes it to the viewer. So I'm optimistic that at the very least, the lack of towers everywhere balances out with how his production goes on the back end. So I think it'll be as good or maybe potentially better, but you know how it goes with OCR. You might show up and get blank screen for a half hour. So who knows?
Have our talking points ready.
It'll help with the talking over each other, because there was a little bit of a lag with, I think, Kirk and Megita for a few seconds where there was a lot of like, oh my, I could tell you were frustrated with
between everybody. It was like 3 seconds. It was the most dramatic lag I've ever had in any broadcast.
But it was 2 between 2 of us and 3 seconds between the other. So like you might be waiting patiently for someone and they've already been talking for 2 seconds.
Yep. Now, as broadcasters, what would you like me to do differently to help you guys out, give a better product? Do you like it when I hold like the 2 in front of the camera to show that it's second place? Like, does that help you with that? And any other tips?
You can check in as often as you would like. The more we can be live on the field with that pretty face of yours, Jack, the better. Yeah. People get sick of hearing us talk. We like to see you check in.
We both said it at the meeting afterwards. The best part of the broadcast is when you guys on course see something and talk about it as it happens in front of you. And then we can elaborate on stuff. But check-ins down on course with actual footage right there is, I think, as good as it gets. I would watch a coverage of only that.
You could chime in every 3 minutes if you wanted to. I don't think you could overdo it.
Okay. I think Gary's probably going to be the other person who's doing a lot of taking Steve's role for this race. So he'll probably be the other.
Gary,
but he knows everybody out there.
Hog this.
Just hog it.
Yeah.
And if there is some spotty spots, let's keep it out of the comments on YouTube. We don't need to hear how bad the coverage is. Only encouraging words to our crew.
We can't do nothing about that.
I'm going to be gasping for air trying to keep up with Lindsay and Emma anyway. So just give it a break.
And if people have a hard time with the stuff, like when it's put up on YouTube later and it lives there afterwards, they put up oftentimes the cleaner version. So then it is actually in the HD it should be once it's put up and lives there. So yes, maybe real time it's a little spotty, but if you want to go back and watch it in crystal clear so you don't have to complain, you can also do that.
It's a friendly reminder that you would rather watch 60 to 70% of the race live than rely on just Spartan's results on their website and get nothing live. No matter how frustrating it is, you're knowing something. And we're pretty much giving it away. Kirk and I Jack, we're not retiring off this coverage. So
We're not
we
making
understand it's not
anything
going to
up
be
there.
ideal for everyone, but it's something. And how many races have we had where there's just nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Alabama.
Your work is appreciated.
One other content wise, would you prefer to have someone specifically with the lead? Let's say it's Hawk and Atkins and Emma and Lindsay. They're on their own. Have one person always on them and always on that next pack? Or would you, if Lindsay is a little gapped by Emma on the first climb, would you want someone with both of them? Like, what do you think would be the best storytelling?
Personally, there's nothing worse than missing the move, than missing the action. Like in the marathon, when they cut away and they're just showing the male leader the whole time, and then the female move gets made. So that doesn't necessarily clarify your strategy other than the action that matters whenever possible. If we could see that.
Yeah. We'll have 4 cameras, 2 per gender.
But that's not my call. Luckily, I don't have to do production truck. I'm just there to flap my gums.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what do you guys got in the running public this week?
Well,
Unsure.
we got a training Tuesday, which ends up being more of a rant and pep talk, which is about quit being lazy. And if later means never, so we kind of pump people up on how to get their shit done. And we don't have our Friday interview done yet.
What is it?
What about you?
The best time is 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. Shit like
Good. That'd have been a good episode title.
Something like that.
Way
Still
to go.
change it.
Yeah, if you're going to get to it later, you're never going to get to it. And the big thing is you can't wait until the stars align to get back on track. You just start right now and you develop momentum. You fabricate momentum. You cannot wait for momentum to be provided to you.
This is where perfectionists struggle with things like endurance sports and like nutrition, where they're just like, it's not perfect. I'll start next week. On Reinforced Running Podcast, we had Glenn Race on. We talked
That was a good one.
a lot of DECA stuff. He's got that analytical kind of brain, so we dove into it. Thank you, Jack.
Okay.
And this week I have a good guest lined up. It should happen, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
You've
to the
learned.
point you can't say that
Learned.
anymore.
No.
Can't announce.
With that, pledge to our Patreon, get some cool giveaways, get some inside access, get some swag, all that type of stuff.
When do you want to do the first giveaway, just so people might be encouraged?
I should say, like, when we reach our first
First of the month.
1,000, when we get 1,000 Patreons, and we'll do our first one.
Sure, that's happening.
Yeah. First of the month. Yes.
First of the month. Yep.
September 1st, we will give
We'll
away, and we're
announce,
going to give
get your name on
away.
it.
Yeah, we'll announce what we're giving away, but we have a good idea. Cool, fellas. Well, that was fun. We'll make sure we take a look for you guys over the weekend, and I'm going to be enjoying doing whatever I want, so I don't really want to be there anyway. So it's fine.
And get your picks in on the top 5 ENC camp contests. So
Yes,
Post
I'll
it
have
on
that
your
link up
story,
later
Jack.
today.
Yeah, get that
post
up.
on your story, and I'm going to do it.
Yep.
All right. See you, dudes.
Bye.